darkness I travel, my eyes upon a house disheveled. Walking the halls, all the pain I see, paranoia and anxiety. Usher was telling me, paranoia rising, the house is hearing, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is falling. I can't how it can be, the house that leaves its possessing, books and songs to help calm, the words brought sounds from beyond, mental illness growing thin, something's under his skin, what is he hearing? Paranoia rising, the house is listening, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is falling. Plans not fair, we left her there, a tomb cold, but for her it could not hold. Paranoia rising, the house is listening, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is falling. Usher's ghost, the house's host, like the wind she flew in from the cradle, no one could save, soon the grave, the house of Usher would but cave, her body on mine, we both lost to insanity's time. Paranoia rising, the house is listening, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is falling.
Folks, welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. And this is the real reality. And the reality is we have 100 people in here right now because this isn't our normal night. And I get it. Everybody's like, why is PRT on Saturday? You don't do anything on Saturday. What you don't understand is I do a lot on Saturday. I was out doing a whole lot. All right. We bought a lawnmower from a person that doesn't cut their yard. I'm not even joking.
They have no use for it.
Slim Jimmy, thank you for that, brother. You gave me
Thank
50
you.
bucks. That's nice of you, brother.
They really should have paid us to
Black
do it.
actors, man. We got to stick together, man. Stick together, Jimmy. It's you and me. That's it. I tell you what really got me was this we pull up and there's this lawnmower there. The guy's he's a really nice guy, but I thought, dude, this guy's yard looks like crap. what are we doing here? I told Anthony, I was like, let's get out of here. This is a con. This guy you don't cut his yard. Because he's like, oh, it's a duplex. I'm on this side. The neighbor, he goes, I've tried to cut their grass even for free. They don't want to do it. Then he said that.
Yeah.
And Nellie was just like, this is spooky. Like, this is scary. You know, like, what the heck is going on here?
I saw Lawnmower Man, so yeah.
I've been meaning to watch that movie.
Don't waste your time.
Jeez Louise.
I only want to see it because I remember on that show Waco, what's his name, was obsessed with that movie. But like,
I still believe.
Yeah, David.
So we have our guest. He was backstage, and then all of a sudden he blinked out. I don't know what happened.
I lost connection or something.
Yeah. Uh-huh. All right, guys. A little bit of technical difficulties here. Yeah, and Joanne says, stop pushing buttons. I'm not pushing buttons. I didn't push anything.
Joanne knows it's you.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Somebody
Is
else
he
did
back
that.
in?
Nope. Somebody else did that, not me.
I think he's trying.
What, his connection go out? What happened?
You know as much as I do. He was there ready to go. We had him in there ready to go, and then he just, you know. So everybody was, because Nellie was like, hey, we have a celebrity.
Yes, does a lot of movies.
He's done, since 2008, he said he's done 100 and, I think he said 20 horror films. He's produced them.
Been hustling.
He produces movies, yeah.
That's a go-getter.
We're going to talk about the weird thing. There's a weird thing that, trust me, it was really weird. So we were going to talk about it tonight, hopefully. But I've barely spoken to this guy briefly. I don't know him that well. I don't know this man, but he seemed like a nice guy when we talked earlier. And this is going to be interesting because I don't know a whole lot about this person. When people started speculating who it was, they were like, oh, who's this guest going to be? Because Nellie put down that there was some mystery celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had to.
And then we had to. We didn't want somebody running and saying something. Hey, don't talk to that guy.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't like me. You know, he might, say something bad about me.
Let me tell you how evil he is.
He's Dr. Evil. So they just, we got a, I guess, it was a judgment call by my team here. And I do actually have a team, unlike some people. They're like, I have an evac team. I'm in the middle of Antarctica with my underwear on my head. Like, no, you don't, dude. You're in your backyard. It just rained a little bit. Calm down. But no, they just, they say crazy things like that. And you're like, dude, this is silly, crazy time.
Oh, okay.
You have to meet up at the rendezvous point.
Oh,
at LZ.
okay, yeah, his center.
So his internet's out. This is what's weird, dude. We almost didn't make it here today.
Yeah.
And then we started talking, and Nellie was all like, do you think the doll wants us to not talk about this? And I'm like, what? Because there's a lot of haunted stuff out there, and we have a key that appears and disappears. I'm not even joking. So, yeah, there's some weird stuff out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can bring him on here. Dustin, are you there? Earth calling Dustin. Come in, Dustin. I don't know. Let's wait till he gets his stuff together there, man. So we had some weird stuff going on today. I mean, it was weird, dude. Like, so Beans decided to flip out and eat our door and just tear up everything in the bathroom. I'm not even going to give you any backstory to it because it's just so. But I believe personally in our house we have some stuff going on, and I think she was pushed to that. I really do, because she got locked in the bathroom, and I think she freaked out, dude. But I told my beloved spouse, I was like, you have to be careful with the pets because that bathroom, there's something going on there, and I do. I really think that there's something there. I don't think it's really our room. Something goes in and out of that area.
Yeah.
And it did that at the other place too.
Like transient?
Yeah. No, the other thing was there in the old place. In this place, I don't think it's transient. I think it comes from that there's a mirror that was in that closet.
Yeah.
Right? Now that sucks. When you have something, you move in. This is the fourth time I've moved somewhere and they have a mirror that's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this? They're like, hey, he's going to move to this house. Let's put a portal and let's go. Let's get it started. Here you go. Hey, what's up, man? What's up, Dustin? How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Right as I was trying to sign in, my internet decided to tell me no.
I thought, man, this guy, my joke really didn't land with him. He just said, man, this guy is not funny. Goodbye. And he just bailed. Like,
Blocks me.
I thought this was stuff about the paranormal. What is this guy? Thinks he's a comedian. This guy's not funny. He's like, delete. Just bust, bombed out. See ya.
No.
What's going on, Abe? See us.
Abe,
Abe, good evening, everyone. Getting ready to do Tejano dancing. Go have fun, my brother. Mi hermanos. We got Wendy. What's up, Wendy? How you doing? She's saying hi to Maddie. What about us, Wendy? You just say hi to your friends. You don't care about the host and his wonderful people. You're rude. You don't want to say anything about the guest. It's that Midwest manners, Wendy. We've talked about this. I thought you were really, really, a good person here. Shade Viking. What's up, Shade? Look, Shade knows. PRT strong. Yeah. I know, guys, it's confusing because I'm not normally on Saturday. And when we have a guest, typically it's on Fridays. But Friday, just so much going on Friday. And, today was the only day. So here's another thing, too. My book's coming out, and they're already saying they're going to give it a thumbs down. That's disappointing. I worked hard on this vampire book, and they're already saying the ops. They're like, I can't wait till it comes out and give it a thumbs. You haven't even read it.
I mean,
you haven't even read it.
To be fair, though, that they can't read.
They do. They're
really just mad that it's a book and that it requires reading to enjoy.
I thought they had a stronger mindset at the beginning.
It angers the brain, the monkey brain.
I mean, they can train. They have a roach circus going on their show. Literally, I thought that the roaches that they had on the wall, they trained them. So I made a mistake.
Circus roaches.
Sorry about that.
No,
Dustin.
roaches trained them.
I'm just giving them props and props here. They don't stop. When people are that obsessed with you and they hate you that bad, you know that they really secretly love you. They love you, dude. And they're hanging out like Buffalo Bill, and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And they're just dancing around. Put the lotion on me. That's what they want, man. They get all excited.
Would you watch me?
Watch me hard.
Hard watch me.
That's what Dustin needs to do. Dustin's like, watch my movies hard. Do it. Watch my movies. Get in there and watch them. So Dustin,
I'm definitely going to be watching them.
Yeah, well, you got an instant fan because Nelly loves those kind of horror movies, man. Dude, I've never met a person that was more into B horror movies until I met Nelly. I was like, wow, like it's hardcore addiction. It was Shudder.
Chiller.
They
took Chiller away.
Every time I come home, I'm like, oh, another movie about stuff that's crazy stuff going on. Like, it's like, dude, there is a huge market for that, though. People love that stuff. They want to be entertained. They want to be entertained.
I love that. It's my favorite.
That's what it is. So that's what you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Dustin. Tell us what's going on with you.
Yeah, I, growing up, I just fell in love with independent horror. I was a big fan of, stuff like USA Up All Night and that kind of stuff. So I got really into the low budget kind of $5 type horror movie stuff. And I was an Indiana boy. So for a long time, I didn't really think I could, get into film. There wasn't really a film community in Indiana at the time. And I ended up moving to Florida. And after being down here for a while, I met some like-minded people while working at a video store of all places. And, we're like, man, I bet we could make something better than the shit that we're renting to people. And we were like, man, because I knew my store manager was someone who had acted in a couple local films, and one of my coworkers was someone who'd went to college for filmmaking, and we were like, we should try and do this. So I pitched them a couple ideas, and we agreed on one, and we just decided that was going to be our film school, and we made a movie. We shot it back in 2007. It was called For Christ's Sake. It never came out, but it was like film school all on its own. It was about a pair of Christian scientists who cloned Jesus. And through a series of brainwashing and conditioning, things go bad. Never came out for a number of reasons, but I met a lot of people.
I can imagine. Probably a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I making it, honestly, a lot of, crazy stuff. It was a crazy shoot. I was also threatened with legal action during making it by Will Sasso's legal team, the guy that used to be on, I think he was on Mad TV. At the time, he had been involved in a kind of Christian propaganda comedy with him and like Alex Bornstein. They were doing one that was called For Christ's Sake, and they threatened to sue me.
They had the same thing going on, the same movie.
Yep. Just it was a Christian propaganda comedy, but it had the same title. Yeah.
Okay. And yours wasn't about that. It was about somebody that cloned. Okay.
Yeah, we cloned Jesus with the blood of Christ off the Shroud of Turin. So
it didn't, but he came back like it wasn't Jesus, right? I mean,
no, it was just a clone of him. So it was, kind of a copy of him, and I had a lot of offensive material in it. I would love to see it see the light of day someday, but I don't know.
Well, you're very open about it. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. Good. I mean,
yeah.
So what happens if you make?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. You got.
It was just a wild experience making it. Honestly, you tell everyone you're making a movie about cloning Jesus, and everyone has something to say, and they all want to hate. We tried to get film assistance with the local film people. I live in a city in Florida, Sarasota. It's very artsy. A lot of artsy types, and we have our own film festival, and everyone's like, oh, you should get your movies in the film festival here, but I'm like, it's all really bougie, and they don't like the kind of stuff I do. When we tried to get assistance from the local film community, once they found out we were doing a horror film, they completely stopped emailing me. They would have nothing to do with this. So and we even put the movie, we even, whenever we were out on location or dealing with the film office people, we actually were using a fake working title. We didn't tell people the title was For Christ's Sake. We were going by the fake working title Serena's Journey, and just telling them that it was about a Christian scientist who has starts to question her faith while working on a cloning experiment. That was really our generic plot. But we shot a majority of it in a trailer, and we're for the scientific laboratories and whatnot. And it was one of our producers, Michael Farr, his college roommate, we used her recently deceased mother's trailer, and she had died in the back room. And it was a really creepy place to be in. And I remember we shot there for 10 days, I believe. We were scheduled for 9 days. We ended up running over into a 10th day. She died in the back bedroom, actually. And on night one, I remember I was sleeping back there. It was a horrible first day too. It was just, trying to learn everything at once. And I was sleeping in the back room. And I remember Michael, the other producer, he was sleeping in the opposite corner of the room. And that morning I felt like a pressure on my upper thigh. And so much so that the grip woke me up because it hurt, and I woke up and I was like, what the hell were you doing? Are you trying to fill me up in my sleep? He's like, what are you talking about? I'm all the way over on the other side of the room. And I'm like, someone was grabbing me while I was sleeping because it just woke me up. And he's like, that was probably Eileen's mom. She probably don't like that we're here. So I was like, okay, well, I'm never sleeping in this room again. And unless we were shooting in that back bedroom, I didn't go back there. There was one time when I had to go back there to, I don't know, like call one of the actors on the phone to play the other end of the phone conversation with them. And I went in the bathroom back there, but otherwise I avoided that back room. After that, I would fall asleep on top of desks, against the wall, on the kitchen floor, anywhere but that back bedroom. So because we lived there for almost 2 weeks while we shot it.
And this was the movie you were talking about. It was supposed to be about Christ, right?
Yep.
So I got an idea for you. I'm going to pitch this to you on air, folks. You heard it first. We make a movie and we call it For Antichrist's Sake, right? And instead of anything to do with Christ, like what happens is the protagonist goes and they find that what they think is the Shroud of Turin, but it's actually the Shroud of Nero.
Oh, jeez.
And then they take the blood of Nero and they clone him, and he comes back evil as hell because he's actually the Antichrist from the Roman Catholic Bible, right? Yep. And then that becomes the problem because there's only one Christ, and when he comes back, it's not going to be from a clone. So there you go. Yeah. So then all this wackiness ensues, and the world falls into utter darkness, but then Christ actually comes back and puts an end to it all. Then you'll have everybody's support. Except for the people that run Hollywood. The people who run Hollywood they won't support it at all. Because it would turn into a Christian thing.
You'll never get
they'd all
boycott it.
They'd all throw a fit and threaten to sue me. I remember that at the time when we shot it, my female lead was Debbie Rochon. At the time, she was a really big, like, independent scream queen. She'd done a lot of stuff with Trauma. And I remember talking to her, and I was like, Will Sasso's people are threatening to sue me if we don't change the title. And she gave me some of the wisest advice I've ever had in the entire career in film I've had. She told me straight up, you can't copyright a title. You can call your movie whatever you want, and no one can do anything about it as long as you're not naming like copyrighted characters or that kind of thing. So I told them fuck off. And, the movie didn't come out, but, was the point.
So here's the thing too. You could say the F word, but let's wait till we get further into the program before we do that, because I try to say as little cuss words as possible, but it comes out, it happens or whatever. But like I said, I personally, I'm a born again Christian, and I do look at things from a Christian perspective, but I'm not a Christian that's going to beat you over the head or whatever, because like I said, I know in my heart that I'm better than all of these people and you, because I don't look at horror movies.
Me too.
This is the Me Too movement. Yeah. Or is that already taken? We'll get sued if we do that. I'm
better than everyone else.
I'm more gooder. I'm a more gooder guy.
I'm better than everyone else, like a good Christian.
So you were literally in this house, in this trailer, and somebody had passed away. So while you're making this movie, let me ask you this, though, and this isn't no I got you or zing or whatever. I'm being serious here. Did you ever stop and think maybe because of the nature of the material, like it was something evil that was messing with you?
At the time, no. In retrospect, the thoughts crossed my mind. Truthfully, at the time, it was the second time that's happened, because I did experience a similar situation a good handful of years before that, which was the exact same thing, where I was asleep and I felt a strong grip of pressure on my right thigh that woke me up, and I woke up and there was nothing there. So it was genuinely the second time over maybe a 7 or 8 year span where that same situation happened. Hasn't happened since, thankfully, but it was the second time, truthfully. So here's the reason we brought you on tonight too. And because shout out to Monty, great guy. He was on the show. Yeah. What was it again?
Canawati.
His last name, Canawati.
He did the film Return to Babylon.
I honestly thought you were saying something about cantaloupe. I was like, what are you talking about? I forgot his last name. I'm not knocking him, but when you said that, I was like, are you hungry? We ate some fish earlier. Are you good? I mean, I had catfish. You had the surf and turf. But anyways.
He's a good guy.
He's a great guy. So he was on the show, and if anybody remembers him, he was a director. He did Return to Babylon, right? Mm-hmm. And dude, the pictures he had, dude, oh my gosh, dude. So that dude came on, man, and I'm telling you, the pictures were so creepy because he captured what could only be, deemed like demons. That's what they look like. They looked like they were overlaying the people's faces, including Jennifer Tilly, the actress. So he came on, and I love the way he talks. He's like, this was not there when I did it. I'm like, he's like a very genuine guy, and we showed the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was creepy. And then there were some others that I saw we didn't actually put on there. And of course, you had like one or two people. They're like, I'm not impressed. I've seen a demon, and you could see everything. This is not a demon. This is a person. This was a person with a melted face. And you're like, okay, you know everything. But there's always going to be one, right? But anyway, there were only a couple people who were arguing. Usually, it's like you throw a picture up there in the group or on our page. It'll ignite a big old. It's like a match to gasoline. It's fake. It's fake. It's like literally a picture of me just standing there with a selfie. They're like, he's not even real. He's a robot. But it just.
Honestly, with that picture, a lot of it, but that one main one that was really creepy.
Which one? There was a bunch of them.
I know, but how did it not like really hit mainstream? That was.
It did.
It wasn't
because it was on the History Channel or Discovery Channel.
Yeah, that's one of the first things that pops up. Like if you Google that movie,
yeah,
is like those stills.
Well, I mean, I guess what I mean is a lot more popular, and more people know about it. Because I was talking.
I think because it happened a decade, what, 15 years ago, something like that. How long ago was it?
I think so.
I'm not sure.
Because it was a while back. I mean, and so he told us about you. Here's what happened, folks. I'm going to say this. My guest here, he wrote a screenplay. Don't judge him by his first movie attempt, okay?
Okay.
He got attacked by a demon for that. He's repented. He knows better now, right? That's it.
Absolutely.
No more messing with that with the name of Christ. Okay.
No.
So here what we have here. I'm not even going to joke. I just saw something.
Nuh-uh, shut up.
Yeah, and the lawyers aren't there. They're gone.
I saw something too.
You did?
I'm not even joking.
Yeah, no. I just saw something. What did you see?
I saw like a black shadow.
Black shadow. That's what I saw.
You want to close that door?
Yeah, close the door. I'm not even joking. We've had some stuff going on around
Can you make sure the front door's locked
Good
out
grief, dude. Okay, Dustin's going like some kind of wacky people.
I brought it with me.
Take it back with
Thanks
you. We
a
don't
lot.
want it.
We have our own here, Dustin. Thank you. We'll get a
Hey,
refund.
go home.
Jason Broussard, he says the original Howling. Thank you for that donation, Jason. Awesome guy.
Thank you, Jason.
Jason got a scary looking Facebook picture though. He's sitting like he looks like Rampage Jackson and Fedor from what's it called, Pride Fight, about to beat you up, man.
What did he say?
He said the original The Howling is the exception to the horror movie narrative. Details actually become more relevant as time goes on. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dustin doesn't know me from Adam, and I don't know Dustin from Adam. I just know what Monty told Nellie and what Nellie told me. But here's the thing. Sorry about the interruption, folks, but I did see something. And the other night here, Tony was sitting right there, and Tony saw something right there. And we bring the dog up here. The dog's been freaking out. We can't bring the dog up here now. So we have to get a cleanse going on in here or something, because we talk about so much weird stuff. But I think it was one show in particular that I was up here doing, and I was up here by myself, and it was the Brazilian Exorcist. And my friend Rodrigo, he's a jiu-jitsu coach, and he was translating for me. And he told me he got freaked out, dude, because the door slammed in his house. And he was just, for a couple of days, he didn't want to translate anymore. He's like, "No, man, this is too much, man." Like, he's just like, so it was freaky, dude. We had some problems, man. And ever since then, we've had a few weird things happening, but we need to get rid of it. We got to rebuke it in the name of Christ, because that's what works. It really does, man. I'm going to tell you something, Dustin. Okay, so first things first, when I was 15, I saw something that looked like a freaking werewolf, which led me down this road, man. My family on my mom's side is Hispanic, and they were always like the hombre lobo, that cadejo. And I was always like, "These mentiras, man. This bull crap, dude. This is something to scare kids, behave. There's a fantasma in the hallway, a cuckoo in the closet." And they got something for every element, dude. Like the lechuzas in the sky, right? Chupacabras on the ground, and in the water, La Llorona. All right. So there's something everywhere you go, you're going to be punished by some kind of spirit because you didn't go to mass or whatever. So there's something there, but I didn't believe it in the stories until I was 15 and I saw this thing, Dustin, and it looked like a freaking werewolf. I'm telling you, my best friend was with me, and it followed us back to his parents' house, man. And after that, he became a preacher later on. We kept hell raising for a few years. He got his life together before I did, but then I did too, and we changed our lives. But man, I was terrible. I was doing terrible things, man. A lot worse things than making movies that were about, So it is what it is. But so you wrote a screenplay, right? And we're not going to talk about it too much because we're about the screenplay, but let's just say this. Suffice it to say, he wrote a screenplay about a doll. You can say, because I don't want to overstep, because you said that you have. So go ahead and say what it is. You can do it.
Yeah. So I was I felt the influence of there's a company called the Asylum that makes what are commonly referred to as mockbusters, where they blatantly just sort of rip off a Hollywood trope. They're most known for like the Sharknado films. But I kind of had the idea. I'm a huge Full Moon Features fan, and they're really known for killer dolls and puppet type movies. And I really wanted to do some kind of thing that had to do with like some kind of a doll or puppet or something. And I think I'd been watching some of the Conjuring stuff, the Conjuring movies from James Wan, and just the story of Annabelle always stuck with me. And I really enjoyed those 3 films that they did in the Conjuring universe. And I thought, I could probably write a very simple script and base it around Annabelle. And it would be my own little sort of mockbuster of Annabelle. And I had a lot of people say, no, you can't do that. You don't own Annabelle. Someone will get pissed and try and, come down on you about that too. I'm like, well, whatever. I can still write it. And I started writing, and I came up with a script that is entitled Annabelle Escapes. And it basically tells the story of, because after the Warrens passed away, the people that preside over the museum and whatnot, they would take her and some of the other haunted artifacts from the museum, and they would tour them around to paranormal shows and conventions and that kind of thing. And I thought, really just seems not smart to remove her first and foremost and do stuff like that. So that would have to go bad at some point. So I came up with the idea of her being on tour, and while she's on tour, something happens and she's basically stolen, and she's going to be, she's held by some thieves, and they're going to sell her. And while she's in their possession, bad stuff starts to happen, and the demon that resides inside of her rears its head and starts causing trouble. And in the interim, the guy who's basically the tour manager would have to try and track her down and get her back, because of the impending danger of her not being contained and being perpetually blessed and whatnot. So then she went on. I finished that script maybe in January, I want to say. And then not long after that, they ended up actually doing a tour where they were taking her on tour again. And I believe they were in Louisiana. And while she was there, there was a prison break, and a number of really violent criminals escaped. And there was a really historic plantation house. It was like 150 years old or something, burned to the ground. And they're like, Annabelle shouldn't have come to town, And then there was a brief rumor that she went missing. Like she had escaped, and I believe they refuted that though and said that wasn't true. But then the news broke that her tour manager apparently passed away recently. And in my story, the tour manager doesn't necessarily end up with a positive fate. So it was a very strange situation of, I don't know, art imitating life, eventually probably imitating art again. So.
And just so we're clear, Dan Rivera, the guy the man that passed away, we're not insinuating in any way that Annabelle had anything to do with his passing. Nobody is saying that. Well, people are saying that. A lot of people on the internet, in fact. But this man had a family, had a wife, and I'm going to give an example here, because there was this person from Kentucky, from northern Kentucky, and they live in southern Ohio now. He was very adamant, like, I'm not from Kentucky. I'm like, well, you lived there when this happened. But his daughter had problems with what she thought was a demon that was messing with her. And now this is somebody that I interviewed. I interviewed them probably back it was November. It was around things. I remember because when I got my freaking kidney stone. And here's what's weird. It was like maybe 3 or 4 days after I interviewed them, I had that freaking kidney stone that just showed up like the day after Thanksgiving or whatever. And it was so weird because I interviewed him on Tuesday, right? And Thanksgiving was Thursday. It was 2 days.
Yeah.
And the guy got really upset. I'm not going to say their names, obviously, but they argued with me. Well, he didn't. His wife and his son were very cool about it. The daughter passed away in I think 2003, not 2003. I think it was 2013. I want to say, but she had a one-person accident, and her brother, who's the one that reached out to me, and then later I talked to the mother, but then the dad got really upset. Her dad. And he's like, well, I don't want you talking about this stuff, but I don't believe that that's what did it, But she was talking about seeing, and I wanted to tell this story, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get into it too much. But he doesn't believe that it was demonic that made her wreck. She said that she was coming back from the gym and that she lost control of her vehicle. And it's really odd because she was in a residential area. She wasn't going that fast. So it doesn't make any sense. And then she didn't even go to the gym where she was supposed. So there was a lot of weird stuff that went on with this and he was telling me basically that he did not believe that this demon did this, but she did tell her brother that not the day before, it was 2 nights before, she saw something pop up in the back seat and she saw it in the rearview mirror. And it looked like here's this really weird too. It looked kind of like, the thing from The Conjuring. So the way to describe it, he described it kind of like this thing. And this is I think it was before that, before all that, but anyway, it was just a weird story. But then the dad got on the phone and he was very irate. He was just like, I don't be talking to this guy. This guy's just trying to make money off our misery. And I'm like, dude, I don't make hardly anything off of this at all. I mean, it's I make a little bit, but YouTube cuts into it and whatever. So I have a business, 2 businesses, and this isn't it. This is just a show, And I told him, I said, I'm not trying to profit off of your pain or anything, And then if anything, it brings awareness that this stuff is real. Now, I'm not saying that Mr. Rivera passed away because of Annabelle the doll. Nobody's saying that here on this show, but it is weird. Here's a guy, this gentleman, Dustin Hubbard, writes a script, and then it happens, it's like, I mean, that's a weird thing. It's kind of like, what's his name? John Candy.
The movie Delirious.
Delirious. It's a weird thing. Did you want to ask anything?
I was gonna ask, I was gonna bring that up, the Delirious movie, and the whole soft disclosure thing, but
I want to hear about that. I don't know what that is.
the movie Delirious is when John Candy, it's a comedy, and he has a typewriter and he starts making the story up, and everything he types comes true, and it's that's the premises. But how we were talking that they have to disclose what they're doing, and that's why they do it in certain ways. And then, so I don't know, and not saying this is what happened, but you can always ponder and speculate. But I was like, this thing, that I believe the entity in Annabelle is very strong.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just something out there. It's not something I believe, but it could be entertained that this thing saw that Dustin did a certain type of genre of movies and somehow influenced it, but I'm not saying that that's what happened. It's just something.
Do you think that Dustin's script acted as a conduit?
No, I don't think
Dustin,
that.
you did this? Call the police. We have him. We've got him.
Case closed.
You're done, dude. We got you. The feds are on their way. Go ahead. Eagle has landed.
This was actually a trap.
This is it. We got you. And what's that guy from the one that gets the pedals? He comes out and he's like,
oh yeah.
You want
Chris
to tell
Hansen.
me, Chris Hansen? You want to tell me something, Dustin? Did you set this
Why
up?
don't you go ahead and have a seat?
You want to have a seat?
Just have a seat right
You
there.
want to tell us about the demons you're conjuring over here, man? You over here making movies. You think you're cute with your movies? You're making. I'm trying to bring some levity here, but still, there is somebody.
It's a very sensitive subject because that poor man and his children and his family.
But that's
awful.
the thing, though. That's the question, though.
But
Did he pass away from this, or did he die of natural causes? And people are going to argue that all day.
That's the thing, though. I mean, it's these entities are very dangerous and very real. That, I mean, think about it. He was handling it, and I'd hate to think that that's the case, and I don't believe that it is. But things came out that are not on the up and up on his unfortunate passing. You know, I mean,
Think about
what else
this.
are you left to think about?
Think about I don't want to cut you
No,
off.
yeah.
Okay, because you were just talking and talking.
No.
Jeez. So think about this. Are you familiar with Robert the doll, Dustin?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah.
creepy.
So Anthony found something yesterday. You want to tell them about the person?
Oh yeah, about the last person. Like, so the last incident for someone to get to come into contact with Robert the doll and get sick was like in, I think, May of this year.
Mhm.
And supposedly they get sick whenever they whenever they take pictures of him without his permission, which is strange, because it's like if you take pictures of this doll without engaging whatever spirit is inside of it, then you're in trouble. But then that, if you get permission, then you're engaging the spirit, and in which case you're in trouble too. So it's like a lose-lose
you're doomed either
situation.
way. Yeah.
You're doomed either way, and then Dustin writes a script about it. It's called Doom Doll Script. And it's a script about a Doom Doll script about a man. Because now you got to write a script about a guy who comes on a show about the paranormal, who talks about the doll, who talks about the guy,
Please don't.
and it just keeps going. I mean, you're just looking down the barrel.
Did you like type this out on like your phone or?
I typed it up on my Chromebook. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's crazy. So, did you think in a million years that this could actually something not exactly, because we're not saying that that's what happened, but specifically, but did you think, man, this could really happen? I mean,
Not at all. I was like, I figured I would be lucky if anyone ever even took notice of the fact that I wrote it, and when it eventually gets made, let alone situations from it starting to actually kind of mirror real life events. That was very strange feeling. So
yeah. I think what it is with dolls too, Dustin, is that because they're the puppets, you're talking about puppets. Okay, so if you're a person that's into that, when I was a kid, and I've said this on the show, I had a doll called Enchima. Now, most people are not going to be familiar with that. Enchima was a show that aired in South Texas, and then I think it got up to West Texas. I know it did where I was at, but it was in Spanish.
Yeah.
Chimichanga.
Chimichanga. You of all people need to learn Spanish, young lady. You're half Hispanic, so you need to do. But so when I was a kid, I was a little more fluent actually in Spanish, because my mother would talk to me in Spanish when I was little. But then she was worried because she thought, well, the Anglo people are going to be. I don't want to be out in public with this little savage saying blah 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 blah. Because that's what she literally told me. Ain't it, Anthony?
Yeah.
She literally said that. That's what her thinking was. She said that was her thinking. She's like, you're running around like a little savage, and I don't want you saying, but So she was living in a predominantly white town, and she thought, I don't want this kid saying a bunch of. So she started just talking to me in English and told me, no, don't know me, we're not going to talk Spanish. And my dad is a white guy. He got aggravated. He was just like, let him speak Spanish. He needs to learn it. So, because there's a lot of stuff, but not here where we were at, because it was in West Texas. But there was this one channel that you could, it was a little kid show. And it was, and looking back on it, man, it was creepy as hell. But it was this little changuito, as they called it. And they had these little monitos, little like man, and a little
Was
puppet.
it scarier than Moonwalk?
It was pretty scary. You're talking about,
Moonwalk.
what was that one?
The Fraggles?
No. Moonwalk. You're talking about HR Puffin stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's what you're talking
Yes.
about.
It was so creepy.
Yeah. So creepy show. That's a creepy show too. If you've ever seen Puffin stuff, but yeah. So this Enchima was a little doll. So when we went to Mexico with was actually your grandmother, Susie. Remember your dad's side. So we all went to Mexico, and I got this little puppet, the Enchima puppet, because there in Mexico back in the 80s, it was real popular. And so I brought it back to my house out in West Texas, and I was a little kid, and I was playing with it, and it could move its mouth. And so it didn't have a spot where you could put anything in it, like it, So Anthony's mother, my sister, and my other sister, we were playing with it. We had some friends over, and one of them kept saying that night before that they thought that it had moved. right? And I remember it was summertime and we were playing, and my sister's friend, not gonna say her name, but she was like, I saw it move, and everybody was freaking out. So I thought it would be cute to give it a raisin, and I was gonna make it bite it and go, look, I'm eating a raisin. But it actually ate it. I tell people that and they think I'm joking, but there were like several kids there. I had 2 of my friends and my sisters had 2 of their friends. It was 4 of them, 3 of us. It was 7 kids.
I'll throw that thing in the trash. Not
And
today, La
saw
Boo
it.
Boo.
Yeah. And your uncle was there too.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I mean, holy crap. So this thing ate a raisin. It sounds goofy, right? My mom so here's what my mom did. She put it in her sewing room and she says, I didn't eat no raisin, pendejo, you know. And so I said, it did, Mom. She said, stop saying that. You're lying, you know. So my mom made me go stand on the wall, like put your nose on the wall type thing, you know. And she put it in her sewing room, Dustin. I'm telling you. And then she's over there, she's doing something, you know, and she hears it making noise. And then you know how it has a little clatter from the puppet, like, you know,
Yeah.
she hears it like it dropped, like somebody had lifted it up and like the top part of it had hit the plastic. So she turns around and she's looking at it and she was like, what is this thing? You know, so she grabbed it. And so we had a trash barrel, you know, it was a small town and you could either pay to have your trash picked up or you could burn it like we did. Cause you know, that's really good for everything. So you we burned the trash.
We used to burn the trash in Indiana. So
yeah. Well, you know, Terre Haute, that film school there in Terre Haute, you know, the big where they produce all the big filmmakers. That's where they burn the trash.
Yeah.
Dustin shows up. He's like, "Here's a puppet for you. Teach me how to do this." Right. So she burns it, and she said that it was making all kinds of weird noise, dude. And like, I'll never forget that. I remember going, and it was like still not even all the way burned. Like it was like you could see the head and everything. So it ends up on the ground. And it didn't even burn. It just the wood part burned. So my dad thought it was one of my little toys or whatever. So he grabs it and brings it back in the house. And my mom is like, "What is that?" And my dad's like, "Oh, one of the dogs must have taken one of their dolls outside or something." And my dad thought I played with dolls because I had G.I. Joe and He-Man. And he didn't make a distinction between that and a freaking puppet. He's just like, I don't know, it's a doll. He's playing with dolls. The boys are right, sissy. I was very athletic though, so he didn't think that. But he just said he didn't like us playing with dolls. Honestly, though, years later, he told me that it scared him. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm sure probably because you didn't play with dolls. He played with whiskey bottles and guns. That's how you grew up in Texas. So you're like, you're 6 years old and you haven't even shot a man. What's wrong with you? Good grief. You know, you probably eat sandwiches without cigarette butts on them too. Plum Nancy. But no, so we had this doll that did this. I'm not even joking. That's a real story. That's a real thing. Yeah. So let me ask you this: you were really interested in this stuff.
Yeah, and truthfully, you telling that story, it made me remember that, you know, it's making my first film was so long ago. The memories are really vague, but when we were in that trailer, there was a doll there.
Oh,
it was about 2 foot tall, great big plastic boy. Jeez. It was a boy. It didn't have any clothes on. And it was in the back. I don't remember if it was in the deceased mother's room or not, but it was part of her property. So we really didn't mess with a lot of her property while we were in there. But there were moments where we'd leave to go shoot at a storage facility and then come back. And that doll, a few times, not continually or anything like crazy, but there were a couple times we'd come back and it'd be sitting in a different position or it'd be in a different room. So it was weird that I still have that doll to this day. It's in a storage unit.
What? Well, you kept it?
I do still have it. It's in my storage unit that it's been there for a while. I haven't seen it in a long time. I certainly haven't touched it in a while. But it is my production company is C-Word Productions. The doll became the mascot for my production company. So the doll's face or a variation of the doll's face has been in my company logo for 18 years. Wow. Different iterations of that because it kind of became like the on-set sort of like, I don't know, mascot of the film. So, but I believe your story. I totally believe that weird stuff like that can exist and happen because I have experienced it. It's just stuff I don't think about a lot. especially with that doll. And I still question why I have the darn thing, but I don't know. I've just never gotten rid of him. So
What if that doll is the thing that's giving him all of his?
I was thinking that.
Yeah, that would be another movie right there.
Because remember
The
the
doll
old comic?
Since the beginning, it gave him all these ideas for the horror movies.
So you're just channeling the doll's
A
thoughts, and you
sadistic little doll is telling you how to do slasher films. Right? Wow.
yeah, nothing would surprise me. So,
Where do
again, I
you
don't
get? I mean, like you these are scripts you write, right? You pretty much write. Well, yeah. So where does the inspiration come from?
just random trains of thought. Honestly, I just come up with random titles or random concepts. I have like a file on the Chromebook that's like probably 12 pages long. That's just random titles or concepts that I've come up with, and I just I don't know, something will happen and I'll get hit with the inspiration and be like, I'm going to tackle this one. And I got hit with the inspiration, around the end of last year and cranked out that Annabelle script in maybe 2 months. So it's just very, very random. Unfortunately, there's not really a process.
So you just like at a restaurant, you just start writing down on a napkin if you hit an idea or something.
Yeah, I'll just get the phone out and like type it into the.
Well, yeah, we don't write on napkins anymore.
Yep. But yeah, basically, the 2025 version of that. Yeah. So
just
type it right into the.
How old are you, Dustin?
I am 47.
So you're younger than me. Jeez Louise, man. Everybody's younger than me now. Ever since I turned 50, everybody's like, I'm in my 40s. And I'm like, oh, really? You're bragging? You rub it in? Yeah. Like I could have swore the waitress today was whispering, he's 50 now. I was like, what is she talking about? Now, I used to get inspiration because I used to take a lot of LSD. Most people don't get inspiration from that, but I did. I really did. I would mescaline, and
I think a lot of musicians get inspiration from.
That's right. You just mix it in a little bit of an old fashioned, and down you go. Next thing you know, you're like, whoa, I'm in the spirit world, bro. And you're just like, you're all there. Now, I haven't done that since 2003. I want to say, geez, I feel really superior now. I'm like, oh, you're on drugs, huh? It's been 22 years for me. 22 years.
Look at Lori Gibbs.
What did Lori Gibbs say? What did she say? She says, freaking shut up. I am your granny, 63. You're not, you wouldn't be my granny at 60. That's how old I am now, Lori, because you would be too young to even be my grandma. Yep. You'd be too young to be my mom. Yep. I turned 50 now. I'm just like, argh. I just walked outside and I hunched over and I went to Denny's. I just said, I've never been there since I was drunk in my 20s. And now, because, their motto really should be, hey, it's late. What else you got going on? There's nothing else. You're doomed.
Once you turn 50, you have an obligation to be at McDonald's and eat breakfast there every morning.
That is true. And then I had my phone, Dustin, and I was like, how do you work this darn thing? And the lady goes, can you bring me a napkin and a pen? I'm trying to write a script here. And
you just forget how to use technology altogether.
Maddie.
What did Maddie say? You people need to stop. Suddenly Wolf has a walker. He doesn't remember getting out. I'm just like I'm on a scooter. Don't worry, Dustin. You got 3 years and you'll be there too, man. I'll see you at the Denny's.
Right around the corner.
It is, man. But so you've done all these movies. Let me ask you this. Have you done a good werewolf movie? Have you done that?
I don't know if I would say I've done a good werewolf movie, but I did do a werewolf movie.
He's very honest. He's like, I've done it. We've done it.
I'll be honest. We back in 2017, I did a movie called Animator, which was a werewolf movie. It was like a slimy werewolf. It was kind of a mix of lycanthropy and Reanimator. I love Reanimator.
Me too.
I've had a lot of. Go ahead.
No, I love Reanimator too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love it. I've had people tell me that I remind them of Herbert West from that movie, and that I should play Herbert West in a movie. I'm like, well, maybe one day. But I had a filmmaker friend in Canada, and we discussed, we kind of spitballed some ideas, and they said, hey, I got a title, Animator. And I was like, I love it. You want to write the script? And they said, sure. and they had me a first draft in, I want to say like a week. And maybe about 4 or 5 months later, they flew down from Canada and we shot it in Florida here. The name of the city, Mayaca. We shot in Mayaca, which is a lot of overgrowth and just really wild looking area. And we shot it at a rundown house in the middle of nowhere. And it was an experience. It was a really, really disgusting house. And truthfully, it's funny that you would mention werewolf movies, because that was the other film set that I honestly had the most experiences as far as paranormal stuff happening, because the house itself was just a filthy, decrepit place. I mean, it was, I don't know how to describe it. It was just, the house itself was dead. There was nothing that worked in it. It was like, there was no AC, there was no ventilation. The homeowner, his mother had been left to kind of rot upstairs. Oh. She had kind of festered in the bed and had been soiling herself and just sort of went upstairs. And the house was, one bedroom was filled with black mold that was sealed. Oh, you could see it through the patio window. And the air was thick and just, it was very disgusting. The house was very prone to animals and wildlife. There was a family of raccoons that were nesting in the base of the stairway. Snakes would come up through the toilet.
Oh, jeez!
Wow. We had to take all the costumes, the props, and we had to take everything with us. We had to drive in for an hour one way, so 2-hour round trip each day to go there to set, and we would have to take everything with us and bring it back, because we couldn't leave anything there because the animals would destroy everything overnight. So, but
that sounds like a horror film all its own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the mother, I don't believe she had passed away upstairs, but she had been left to really just sort of,
that's sad,
just fester upstairs for a long period of time. And
that's horrible.
I had to make sure that people didn't go upstairs, because the floor was not, you could feel it move under your feet. Let's put it that way. It wasn't very stable. So, and plus there were just a lot of personal stuff up there, a lot of, pill bottles of, drugs that had expired like 15 years prior, all over the floor, everywhere.
It's like
there was garbage all. Yeah, there was just garbage all over the floors everywhere. And the homeowner's brother had committed suicide in the living room, and
it's getting worse.
And had to clean up his brother's brains off the wall and stuff. And so it was a very heavy place to be in. And I believe we were on day 3 shooting, and we were kind of in the entryway by the kitchen. And the 2 things that I had to always make sure whenever someone showed up was, A, they had to be told that there were 2 places in the house that were completely off limits. They could not go into the specific bedroom that was sealed because of the black mold, and they couldn't go upstairs because of the safety issue with the ceiling. The other thing that they had to do was, the homeowner actually came up with his own contract, where he made each of us sign a contract that absolved him from any legal action if something happened to us on his property, or if we ended up getting sick from being in his house. So we were in that kitchen area by the entryway shooting a scene, and there's no one upstairs. And there was the mother's bedroom was sort of just above us to the side, and there was a large bang on the ceiling above us from over by where her bedroom was. And everyone just sort of understandably revolted, and they left the house, and they were like, nope, forget it, we're done. We're not going back in. And
Jeez.
The producer in me is like, no, we have to go in. We have X amount of time. Time and money, yada, yada, yada. And in this movie, there's not a lot of money. But understandably, something upstairs did not like us being there. So they all went outside, and while we were out there, it was really bad weather. It was raining really hard, because the summer is really the rainy season in Florida, truthfully. So when people come down here to vacation for the summer, it's really the worst time because there's so much rain, and it was pouring outside, and we had to take all the props and stuff, and there was a good group of us. There was probably about 8 or 9 of us, which is truthfully pretty low when you consider that's cast and crew at the time. But the lead actress wasn't there at the moment, and she was driving in, and during all that, while she was en route to the house, she actually had a car accident. I always find it humorous to say this, but she had a murder of crows, like a flock of crows that flew in front of her car, and she swerved and went off the side of the road.
Wow. And we just talked about somebody doing that earlier.
Yeah, and wrecked her car, and we couldn't, the rain was so bad. I believe it was an issue with the rain. We couldn't really leave. We couldn't drive in it, but no one would go in the house either. And we had to wait for her because she was en route getting the car towed to the location. And we had to sit outside for maybe an hour, and no one would go inside or leave the car. And I mean, there was about, like I said, 8 or 9 of us all piled into one little car with all the props and everything. I mean, people sitting on top of each other's laps and stuff, waiting for her to get there. And then we had to come back, and because everyone was kind of bunking at my house and staying here during the production. So when we had to come back, and we ordered some pizzas, and then just had a production chat with everyone and said, we gotta try and pull double duty tomorrow because we lost half a day. Understandably, I get why we lost half a day, because I didn't really want to be in there either, because she, presuming it was her, she clearly did not want us in the house. And the cameraman, I had to silence him a few times too, because he claimed to, and he probably was, claimed to be attuned to certain, things in the environment. And he said that he could see where certain things had happened in the living room, where the suicide had happened and that kind of stuff. And he said that he could see things in the house. And I was like, it's not bothering you. Please don't discuss that with everyone else, because you're going to add to everyone's high tension and paranoia, and literally we're never going to get the movie done. But he at points said he could see things crawling up the walls, and he could see and stuff. So I'm like, let's just bang through it. We don't have to be here for very long each day, but let's just bang it out so we can bolt. And it was a scary house. It was honestly one of the scariest places I've ever stepped foot in. It was just a repulsive, disgusting property. I mean, the property itself was riddled with garbage and just broken glass, and just, I mean, there was just, it was like the family that had been there just tried to make it as unlivable and disgusting as possible. There were trees growing out of the roof. It was disgusting. It was really gross.
That's like security. Like in security.
Great location. Yeah. It was, I mean, it looked great on film. Yeah. It looked great on film, but it was horrible to be there. I'd never want to go back there. I think supposedly that homeowner has passed away since then, but I believe before he passed, the house, I don't know if he tore it down or if he flipped it somehow, but it supposedly the property got cleaned up and was made nice and livable again. That had to have been a small miracle though, because that property was just disgusting. There wasn't, I mean, I said snakes came up out of the toilet, but you could only flush the toilet once a day because the water in the house was not good. So usually we would have to take numerous trips down the street to like the Wawa or whatever it was, so that people could go in and do their business in the restrooms there, because you couldn't really use the bathroom in the house either. So
and a Wawa is a convenience store. Yeah, they're all over Pennsylvania too. So. Yeah. So that sounds like doing security. We have to go to these places And I'll tell the guards too, like the restroom, I'll be like, you're going to have to use the restroom. You have to, let us know so somebody can relieve you, whatever. And I've had people, you tell them that, and they still try to go into the property and use the restroom. So we've had a couple properties that there was one we were doing out near Georgetown, and it was condemned. And we weren't guarding that building. What it was is they had construction equipment already there about a week before. And the people were coming down, and they were actually, one of them was coming down from not Montreal, Toronto. So they were on a project and literally in Canada. They were funny, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to take a little longer because for some reason they had to get back into the country or something." I don't remember the whole thing, but we were there for like a week. I say we, I wasn't. I just went there and told the guard, "Hey, do this and that." And the equipment that was there was like, well, the equipment arrived, a little bit early, like a few days or whatever. So the house, the first thing they did once the whole crew showed up over the weekend. So it was like started one weekend, and then like that Friday they were already there. So it was only a few days. So they had to knock this house down, Dustin. And what was crazy was like the house was like, it was like on like little cement like pegs or something. So you had to climb up in there to get, And so the restroom was not even a functioning restroom. So I had this lady that worked for us. And she was real, how do you say it? Bitchy. That's pretty much the only way you can describe it. You're being nice, right? And she was just like, well, I need a restroom. And I said, this is not the place, because she wanted a site that was close to where she lives. So I said, look, you don't want to drive further. So this is what we have, And so, and I said, don't go into the house. Don't go in there. And I jokingly told her, I said, I look at it. I'm just kind of staring at it. I'm like, it looks haunted. She goes, I love haunted shit. I said, good. And then we'll just stay out. And you can see the demons from the outside. Joking aside, right? She actually went inside and she called me. She goes, F this, blah, blah, blah. This place is messed up. You got me messed up over here. And I said, lady, I told you.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yep.
You were warned. You were warned. And she goes, something grabbed my leg. I went there to use the restroom. I said, I told you. There's a store down the road. She's like, this out in the middle of nowhere. I hear wolves howling out here. Coyotes, right? I said, okay, those aren't wolves. Those are coyotes. And she's like, well, I'm a big woman and I can't be out here getting eaten by coyotes and stuff. And I was like, okay. So she left. She just bailed. So 4 a.m, I go out there. And I take over. I just said, okay. So I drove out there. She was gone. I don't know what time she left. It was probably way hour before. I get out there and I sit there. About 5 a.m, I hear. Now I don't really tell this story as it's paranormal. I don't know, because I didn't go up in that thing, dude. And then Friday they showed up. The crew showed up. They took the precautions or whatever. By Saturday night they had leveled it. It was done. It was gone. So I was there. And we had like probably been there for 3 days at that point. 4 days at that point. So it was Thursday before the Friday that they came. And I literally had gone through 3 guards, right? And so it was nasty. It was decrepit. And I didn't go up inside of it, but I just sat there for a couple of hours until 6 a.m. in the morning. And then I had somebody come relieve me. And I saw something like run off the side of the house, like jump out of it and run into the woods, but it was on 4 legs. I don't know. But it was weird. If I had to say what it looked like, it kind of looked like a Batman. It was like an alligator looking thing or something. I don't know what it was. I told my brother, man, I called him and I said, hey, man, I tried to con him into work. And I was like, hey, you want to come work? He's like, for how long? I said, a couple of hours. I offered to pay him good, though. I said, I'll pay you like $50. Come out here and just said, I don't want to be here. And he was like, nah, man, I'm gonna drive out there for that. So he didn't come out there. So I just sat there. And then right before I got relieved, I heard what sounded like somebody walking, like you can hear the wood, you can hear it. And I look at my flashlight and I didn't see anybody, man. And you could kind of see all the way around, though. The windows were all busted out, dude, and it was nasty, dude. And there was trash all over the place. So the people that bought that property, they were literally going to build on top of the site where that house was. So I meet the people that following Monday, they came in and they were looking at plans and stuff. So we were there while they built this house. And it was a big house. And then they put a bunch of buildings and stuff out there. It was a big property, about 17 acres. And I asked the guy that was building it, and I said, "What do you plan? What is the deal here?" But it was the company that we worked for that they gave us that job, and he was a very wealthy guy. And he says, I want to live in Texas." He's like, "I've been living way up north for a long time, and I want to live in Texas, and my wife wants to live in Texas." He's like, "And so this already has the utilities here, and it has the sewage and all that." And I said, "You're going to put the house right on top of where the other house was?" He goes, "Yeah." And I told him, I said, "Man, there is definitely." I felt obligated to tell him. I said, "There is something here. There really is." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, the foreman or the superintendent. He goes, "Superintendent came down, and when they had the equipment dropped off, and he's been here at a hotel. I met him. His name was Gavin, and he said Gavin told me that something grabbed him." And I was like, "Yeah, okay," because I had a guard that claimed that, and he's like, "Well, that ain't gonna stop me, blah blah blah." Fast forward like probably 10 years down the road, whatever, I run into this guy at a Mexican restaurant down in South Austin. And I'm looking over at this guy and his wife, and I recognized them. And I said, "Oh, that's, I can say his name, but we'll call him Jay." And I got up and I went over there and I said, "Hey, I guarded your property while you were building all that stuff out there." He goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "Yeah, we sold that after about 3 years, man." I was like, he goes, "We dumped all this money into it." He goes, "That thing was so messed up." And I said, I'm thinking like messed up as in, like problems with the plumbing, whatever. I said, "Well, you guys did it was pretty solid. The house you built was nice." He goes, "No, it was haunted." It was so bad. He goes, "It was so bad." And then he just left it at that. He goes, "I can't even talk about it." And I'm like, "Oh," because I wanted to get it. Yeah. I wanted to hear what he had to say about it. But his wife was looking at him like, "Don't say anything." Like her eyes were wide. And she looked very nervous. And then that was it. I never got to know what happened to that guy with his house.
Yeah, some places are just dirty, just not good.
Yeah. Demons like to flock to those kind of places. I think it's twofold. I think that one, that the negative energy that they feed on is there, and they nest. And I think that they also, I think that they know that people aren't going to really be bothering them, and the kind of people that will be attracted to nasty dirtiness are the kind that they're open so they can feed on them. It's simple as that. Mm-hmm. Vampires, that's what I call them. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this? I bet I'm willing to bet anything in the world that I could make if the werewolf costumes, which is where the money is going to cost on a werewolf movie, if the werewolf costume is correct, I could make a banger of a werewolf movie. I've thought this many times. And the reason I think that is because I've been given 1,000 different accounts of werewolves, or dogman as we call them. I don't call them that.
Yeah, make a whole series out of it.
Yeah, you could make at least do it like a documentary type thing, just one after the other of encounters, and bring the people on. Whatever, But if you wanted to make a movie, man, all you would need is the costumes or the outfits or whatever. Yeah. So. Yeah, if you could get somebody that could come up with a really good lycanthrope outfit, really rock that, because I could tell you we could just use some of the encounters we got, just make a really good whatever, man. And people will say things like, "Oh, well, that you don't know if you can do." I'm positive I could do it, but that just I'm not a director, Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not, you never know. Never say never. Like. Just never know. What are your thoughts on like if the werewolf movie though? What do you think? The costume is what really matters, right?
With the werewolf movie, I think it's really comes down to the monster, truthfully. And we had with Like Animator, we ran a Indiegogo campaign to try and raise some money, and we got some, but not near as much as we wanted. So our werewolf costume ended up being more on the campy side, which worked for the tone of the movie. So we just leaned into the overtly silliness of it. But the costume and more specifically, if you can get a transformation for a movie like that, if it's a werewolf movie, those are really your big selling points. If you can really pull those off, you can have something special. But the budget we were working on that movie was not something we could really. There was no transformation per se. It was some flashy camera tricks and I think some gels on the camera, and there it was. So, but the costume looked cool. It looked kind of silly, and it had a kind of a colorful vibe to it and stuff. But and it's funny because a lot of the people I've talked to that saw that movie seem to really enjoy it, but it's always the ones that you don't really. It's like I said, I've produced or been a producer on over 100 movies. It's the ones you think will be the ones that are going to be the great ones, or the ones that'll really have significance never are, and the ones that you're like, oh my gosh, that movie, are the ones that were just a nightmare to make or just troublesome productions. Those are always the ones people end up loving, and a lot of the people I've talked to really like that movie just because it's so ridiculous and silly. It feels like an acid trip, because it went through so many editors in the post-production process too. So it's a lot of different editing styles and filmmaking approaches. So the whole movie is just like a bumpy ride. but I would never tell you that the costume in it is like super top tier. But we knew that, so we just tried to lean into it. But yeah, if you can get a really good costume or some really great prosthetic effects, you could really sell a good werewolf movie. And like I said, if you can do a good transformation, that's I think a really big key factor as well.
I'm gonna be watching that movie.
You remember watching it?
No, I'm going to watch the one he's.
You're going to go watch it?
Yes.
Animator.
I just want to see the house. See how bad it is.
Yeah, I wish I had the photos accessible. I remember I had a location guy that works in music. He's a musician, and he had a friend that I cannot remember the band. Music is not my thing, but they're him and his friends. They're both named Steve, actually. His friend Steve, who owned the house, had been a road manager for some band. And I don't know, I lost my train of thought.
You're talking about the movie, right?
Yeah, see, I'm showing my 47 years of age on this earth now. So.
47 is not supposed to stop your train of thought. Now, I know what you were talking about. You were saying that you wanted to make a werewolf movie with me,
yes.
and I was going to direct it for you.
It just that too. But it hit me. Steve, my location manager, Steve, when he talked to his friend Steve, who owned the house, that guy had shown him photos of the house, and in those photos, you could see what looked like images of a spectral looking figure in the mother's bedroom in the upstairs window. And it was really creepy. And I was like, are we sure we want to shoot here? And he was like, he's willing to let you use it for real cheap. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go look at it. So we went and looked, and it was every bit as gross as I expected. But yeah, the pictures of the mother, and I wish I had them accessible at the moment. I'd have to go dig for them, but it was very creepy, very blood-curdling looking stuff. And the house was just gross. The house is literally almost its own character in the movie. It's scarier than the monster, truthfully.
The location is everything. I mean, that could be.
And I'm not kidding when I say, like, there was garbage on the floor in some areas as high as like your shins, of your legs. Like there was
not props.
Yeah, and a lot of the cast and crew. I remember one of the actors. He was like, "Oh, I want to keep X, whatever it was," and I'm like, "Nah, no." I'm like, "Have you never seen like any of the later Amityville sequels where people take objects from the Amityville house and they have some connection to the evil, and then bad stuff happens?" I'm like, no one is taking anything out of this house that we didn't bring here to begin with. And there was a lot of wild stuff in that house. I mean, the closet underneath the stairway had boxes and boxes of mint condition, like National Geographics and stuff that was probably worth money to someone. But I remember there was an old VHS tape on the floor that said Stephen King's It, that looked like it was like someone had recorded it off TV when it broadcast in the 90s. And that tape just got left on the floor. It's like, I would so love to take this home and watch it, but I don't care enough to take it home and watch it because I don't want to bring anything from this house back home with me. So
Yeah, I wouldn't bring any. I wouldn't touch it.
Like we'd take stuff out of the house and then wipe it all down, so that we just like didn't want to bring any of the filth from that place with us. So
we used to have a site too that was God, this is weird. We were just talking about it. We drove by it.
Yeah.
Earlier.
I don't know if I want to say the name of it.
Yeah, we're not going to say the name of it. And actually, some of our colleagues, they have that account now, and they were complaining about that account. And I told them, I said, and Nelly goes, "That's the account that has the bats."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You were all into the bats. There's literally bats
so
that swarm
tiny.
around the lamppost. Yeah, and I was there with Nelly, and we were looking at a couple summers ago.
I was like, that's a really big moth.
She goes, "Look at all those moths." I said, "Honey, those are bats. This
So-
place is so run down and so garbagey."
The bats were the only thing I didn't hate about that place. It's like, oh, cool, bats.
Our
Everything else here
colleagues
sucks.
Our
Even
colleagues,
the ones with rabies.
yeah, exactly. The bats are going to get rabies from the demons there. So get this, Dustin. Our
Demon
colleagues,
rabies.
they actually, one of them is going to be on the show probably next weekend because he had a crazy werewolf type encounter. So we worked with this guy, and now he has his own company, and they subcontract with us. But he was telling me when that place is so nauseating now that it's a shopping center. I don't have people shop there. I'm going to tell you. And it's they have the wastewater treatment plant in one of the cities, municipalities that's a suburb of Austin. And he goes, dude, it smells bad out there too. If you go out there, I've been out there. He goes, it's worse over there at that place, the garbage. And I said, yeah, it was bad when we were there. So we had a guy that used to work for us, and his name, I almost said his name. It's been so long. I guess it doesn't matter. So anyway, he's a Hispanic guy, but he was walking around the back of that place, and everything there. The last shop closes at 10. The restaurant that delivers is at 11. I actually worked there years ago in a drive-through there, and I got into a fist fight with a customer. It was bad. That place was terrible. But that tells you right there. The person threw fries in my face. Are these hot to you? And threw them in my face. And so I went outside and we got into it. It's on.
Oh, that really happened? The fries in your face?
Yeah. You've heard me tell that story, haven't you?
I don't recall.
It was me and another guy we called him, his nickname was Red, who worked there with me. It was this black dude. And we got into it with some of the patrons in the drive-thru because they were screaming, yelling, and they threw fries at us. So me and Red got fired. Then they told us, hey, you can go work at the other store at another. So we did. We ended up both working at this other place. But I mean, you throw hot fries in my face. What do you think I'm going to do, man? And I'm a punk kid, late teens, whatever. I was a. And so this place is a really garbagey place. And I say garbagey because like the trash is overflowing out there. So here's what happened. Our colleague, another guy used to work for us. Now he has his own business too, and he was in Iraq. He was in Iraq, and he was a soldier, so he saw combat. He was a pretty battle-hardened guy. He got freaked out. He calls me, and his voice is quaking, and he's like, Wolf, I'm done. I can't work at this place, man. He goes, and I said, what happened? He says, I was walking around. He goes, and I swear I was like, you know what? I left my flashlight at home. He goes, let me go back he had a Jeep. He goes, I went back to the Jeep and I looked, it's not in there. There's nobody around. There was only some homeless people that were crawling around over there. And that's why we were there, because they would cause problems. And literally one would crawl around on the ground, and when you would get onto him, he'd stand up and grunt, and then he would go back on all fours. I'm not even joking. And so he was a weirdo, but he wouldn't hurt you. But there was another guy that would, he would throw stuff from the road and scream at you. And I'm not even joking. The homeless people here are not all of them. They're not all bad, but there's some that are horrible. They're not like normal people, not homeless people. They're just they're a nightmare. Yeah. And that's why we get a lot of business. But this place, there was a spot right there where it was really dark, and the cameras would be trained right on it, and they could not keep the light on there. The light would flicker, and it would always go out. And I told the management that I said, there's nothing you can do. I was there through two different managements, three different managements. And the ones that hired us, they were only there for a month, and then they were gone. And then the new management was there for a few years. We had that account for 11 years. 11 years, man. I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we did it.
Yeah.
But this guy walking around, Really tough kid, man. He was a Hispanic kid from the Valley. And he wasn't no punk, man. And he goes, dude, I'm done. He goes, I was thinking I need my flashlight. He goes, I hear something drop onto the concrete. I turn around and there's a mag light rolling like a flashlight. And it was an expensive, nice flashlight. And he goes and he's like, what the heck? So he goes and he sees what it is and he grabs it, he turns it on and it works. And he looks around and there's nobody around. And you could see for a long ways. It's a big shopping center, right? And he says, I don't see anybody. And he goes, so I started kind of saying, hey, I was using the flashlight, you know. He goes home, takes the flashlight home, and then nothing like major happened, but it falls off of his dresser a couple times onto the hardwood floor at his grandmother's house. And he was renting a room from her. She had a big old house. And he said, dude, the flashlight kept falling off of the nightstand, no matter how I put it up there. And at one point he goes, I put it up there behind my duty belt and I folded it over and it still managed to fall while I was in the restroom. I heard it. So it freaks him out. So he's totally freaked out. He goes, so he takes the flashlight back and he puts it back on the ground and he says out loud, he's like, whatever's here, this flashlight is not mine. I don't want it. Take it back, whatever. He goes, I take about 5 or 6 steps and I hear a scraping noise. I turn around, the flashlight's gone. True story. That's what he told us, man. And I was just like, dude, are you freaking kidding me? He goes, dude, I can't do it, man. He goes, and then what got him was he looks up and there was something crawling. What looked like a person crawling off of the roof, crawling down the side of the building, but it was just brick wall. And then there was like a gutter. And he was like, dude, how is that person holding themselves up on the side of the building?
Like Spider-Man.
Like Spider-Man, yeah. And so he tells us that. And he was just like, I can't do it, man. He goes, put me somewhere else. And so I did. We had this other place and we put him. It was a place that makes tequila. Yep. He ended up working there for a long time. He liked it there. He was happy there. And I told him one day, he came in the office and get his money, whatever. And I said, how you liking the tequila place? He says, oh, it's great, man. He goes, it's haunted too. There's some weird stuff there, man. He goes, but it ain't nothing like that place. That place is horrible. He goes, it's haunted. It stinks.
Yeah.
Because you might get stabbed with, a needle or something, some crazy person. But yeah, there's some nasty places that you go.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? We don't know. But I think that if you're going to make a movie, though, that would be the kind of you want that creepy atmosphere.
Yeah.
To set the tone. And I think that places can be as bad as any just single entity because that place can be full of who knows what,
Yeah. It's the good location can really help accentuate a scary movie. But yeah, depending on the location, depends on whether you want to actually be there or not. So,
yeah.
Because I think some of those places people shouldn't be at. So
yeah, exactly. So do you have cats going on down there? What's going on with the cats?
Yeah, we have 2 cats in the other room. One of them, she's in heat. So she's
my brother said there's a cat riot going down. Yeah, my brother remembers that guy because he was working with that guy at another place. There was this Tejano bar we had. And I'll never forget this guy tried to hit us with a machete. He tried to hit us. He we closed the doors and they had this like plexiglass and he was just hitting it with the machete. And then my brother did something crazy. He opened the door, moved as the guy swung, could have cut him in half, right? Catches the dude like with a what do you call it? Clothesline, gets the machete and then throws it at the guy. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? We were bouncing. We weren't doing like, official security, was bouncing. And the guy, because I had a security business. He says, well, I don't want that. I want guys that bounce. And I already have an armed guard here, And I was like, yeah, that's my guy. So he wanted me to be like a bouncer. So he goes, no, don't wear the gun. Don't do anything. Just come and just stand there at the door, And so I did okay. And so we had the other guy that was at that other place. He wore the gun and he was there. And so he's sitting there telling this guy, I'm going to shoot you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That guy didn't give a crap, man. He didn't care. He was willing to take the bullet because he was so out of his damn mind. And my brother just opened the door and clotheslined him and took that machete from him. But he threw it at him. It didn't hit him. But I was like, dude. And then the police came and the guy was so out of his freaking mind. He was like, and they freaking tased the crap out of this dude. I mean, it was bad, dude. That place was bad too, man. I remember there was this guy that was in there. We kicked him out for dealing drugs. He was a little two-bit a coke dealer, whatever. He stands at the front door and he's come in Spanish and he's complaining that the bathroom is haunted. And I said, dude, you have bigger problems than the ghosts in the bathroom. The police are behind you. And he turns around, he's like, Policia. And then he takes off running and they grab him. And I'm like, he was standing there literally complaining that there was a ghost back there. And I remember him complaining that he had left some dope in there and the ghost took it. And I was just like, so I thought it was kind of funny. But then there was this guy that worked for us named Lewis, and Lewis has told this story a million times. And he's actually been on another guy's show and told it. But he goes in there one time, and he says there was a guy that came staggering out of the stall. This is not the end of the night; it was the beginning of a night, right? So he says this guy. This is what he said. He said the guy comes staggering out of the stall, and blood's coming out of both nostrils, and he's screaming, "Help me!" And he grabs him, and Lewis pushes him back, and he's like, "Get off me, dude!" And this is a security guard, right? And so he runs out, and then nobody comes out of the bathroom. So him and the other guard go, and I know both these guys. They worked for me for years. They went back in there. There's nobody in there. Then the owner of the place, he tells me and my brother, who's King Dibbles there, he tells me and King Dibbles, he says, hey, there's a guy. He talked real thick accent. He was from Belize. He goes, there was a guy, he worked here. He go in their bathroom. He do the cocaine. And he died. He tells me very point blank. He goes, but that before I bought the place, man. Now he not died from me. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, how long ago? I know, like 8-9 months before I buy. And I said, you only had it for a year. That's like 2 years ago. Like, is that the guy? We don't know. But I mean, I never saw anything. But then you have this other drug dealer complaining, about the ghost. And so I kind of made a joke out of it. And we're standing there with the cops, and one of them goes, he goes, I've been in this sector for a while. He goes, there was a guy that died in there, an OD. He goes, I remember I got that call. He goes, maybe there is a ghost in there. So the cops go in there because, they have to look around or whatever. And they look and, and the guy walks out and, I never saw anything. I never felt anything in there. But I didn't hang around in there very much either. So I don't know. I didn't go in the bathroom very often unless I had to. And it was always a bunch of people in and out of there, So you got to wonder, people think, well, something's haunted is going to be like freaking Amityville horror all the time. No, I lived in a haunted house for 10 years. And it's not all the time. It's just, it's there. And then it's not. And then it's there. And then it's not.
Yeah.
It's like they pop in and out of our reality to say hi and scare the hell out of you. And then they're gone.
Keep you on your toes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you doing what you do, you got to think maybe there's some residual stuff that comes to you from, the movie end of it. I mean, you're over here making these B horror films. Mm-hmm. You ever thought maybe there is just something that's following you, like something that maybe you picked up from the thought process or who knows what?
Truthfully, I've never really dwelled on it too much, but I would never rule it out as a possibility. I mean, I've over the years, I've seen and experienced so many weird things that it would make sense if something kind of did do that. But I don't know. It's not something I really think about too much. So I try not to. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were a kid, were you into all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, first movie I ever saw at the theater was Poltergeist, the original Poltergeist, and I was 2. So we were big into horror in my family. So I always watched horror. It was always my thing. When my great grandmother passed away when I was maybe 11 or 12. So then my grandmother moved in with us, and she was a big horror fan as well. And we would sit and watch horror movies and stuff. But she had lived a crazy life herself, and she was terrorized by evil spirits for a good number of years.
Your grandmother?
Yeah, and when she moved in with us, we all started to sort of experience things in that house. So she'd been probably tormented by evil spirits for probably 20 years, I want to say, up to that point. And when she moved in with us around 91-ish. So, yeah, and she moved in, and we all started to kind of see and experience wild stuff in that house. So,
Jeez. So you were a kid.
Yeah,
You
I was
were
probably 11 or
experiencing-
12. Yeah,
Gee, and your siblings too? You have siblings?
I do. I have like 3 half brothers and a half sister, but on my mom's side, I have a half sister and half brother. And my sister lived with us for a time during all that. She had 2 children that lived with us as well. So, and we all experienced different levels of something going on in that house while she was there. Because whenever grandma would go to bed at night, she would have spirits that would come to her at night. She would sleep with the Bible right at her side, and she would pray all night long. I could hear her through the wall because my bedroom was on the other side of her bedroom. So I would hear her all night, and she would rebuke Satan continually all night long because she had spirits that would try and sit on her face and smother her. She would have spirits that would try and touch her in her private areas and have their way with her. She would have one that would try and poke her eyes out. And she would have one that would try and pierce her eardrum, all kinds of wild stuff. So I heard that continually, nightly through a lot of her living with us. So,
Wow.
yeah, she had a bedroom right outside her, or a bathroom right outside her bedroom there. And I remember seeing some kind of shadows moving around in the bathroom along the shower doors, that there was really nothing to cast shadows. And that was one of 2 things that happened in that bathroom, but those kind of moving around there. And I told them, I'm like, I saw some weird motion in there. And, my mom's like, there's nothing in there. I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to use that bathroom though. And then there was a period where my older brother was staying with us. Very briefly, he'd come home from the Marines, and he had used that bathroom right outside her bedroom. And he had taken a shower, and he got out of the shower, and he was, combing his hair in the mirror, looking in the mirror. And when he looked in the mirror, he said that he saw on the ceiling above him, behind him, he saw the devil sitting Indian style upside down on the ceiling, looking at him. And they locked eyes. And the moment they locked eyes, it reached at him and tried to grab him. And he turned around and it was gone. And I was like, I'm never using that bathroom again. I don't ever want to step foot in that bathroom again. And I didn't. So I used the bathroom in my mother's room from there on out. And my sister had seen the devil in that house too. She saw his face in a window. He was in the glass, and he said to her in a demonic voice, he said, "Kill yourself." And then she did something not wise and ended up in the hospital for a while, and all kinds of crazy stuff. We ended up moving out of that house, and there was a point where my mother had prayed for grandma to have a good night's sleep for once, because she was always, she never got good sleep. And she prayed for her to get a good night's sleep. And that night she was attacked in her room. Some invisible force pounced on her and knocked the wind out of her. And she struggled to try and break free from it. And when she finally got her breath back, she rebuked Satan in the name of Jesus, and the spirit went away. But the next morning, grandma said, "I'll tell you what, I have never slept that good in the last 20 something years, because the spirits left her bedroom and went to mom's room."
Took her a pound of flesh from her.
Yeah, which I'm right between those bedrooms. And there was a point right around that same time where I was trying to sleep, and I saw something in the room with me. It was a large, dark figure, and its head was tall enough that it was blocking the light coming in from the top of the door. And I just started elbowing the wall and screamed for my mom like a big crybaby. I'm like, "Get in here," and she came in. And honestly, from that point on, I was like maybe 17. Like, I slept in her room with her. Like, I legit, we shared the bed. I slept in her room because I refused to sleep in my bedroom anymore. And we moved out of that house. And I was the last person to get all my stuff out of that house because I didn't want to go in my bedroom. Like, I was refusing to go in that bedroom as much as I could. And eventually they're like, everything's out except for a couple of things in your bedroom. You got to go in there and get the rest of it. And they dropped me off at the house after school. And she's like, get the rest of your stuff. We're going to take this load over to the new house, which was, like 20 miles north. So it was not close. It wasn't like a quick trip up the road. And I was in there and getting stuff out of the closet. And it's hard to explain, but the way the house was set up, the sun would rise in the window through the dining room. And at that right time of day, the light would shoot through the dining room, through the living room, down the hallway, and if my bedroom door was open, straight through my bedroom. If the sun was setting, that light would come through my bedroom and shoot all the way through the house the opposite direction, if that makes sense. It was the evening, and I was in that bedroom. The sun was setting. I'm the only one in the house. And I was putting some stuff in a trash bag, and I looked through the house towards the wall where the window in the dining room was, and there were dark shadows kind of moving around on the wall in there, like they were sort of dancing around, and there was nothing in there to cast shadows. And I was like, forget this. I grabbed a couple more things, threw it in the bag, and grabbed that and just bolted out of the house and stood over on the far side of the property until they got back. And she was like, did you get everything? I'm like, I got as much as I need. Let's leave. So, and I didn't go back in. So
sometimes it's better just to leave stuff behind.
Yeah.
In the house we lived in for a couple of years, we left a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
We didn't take our furniture. We just started over. And you know what's crazy? Let me tell you something, Dustin. The goofy people that lived there before us, they tricked us. They really did. They were like, "Oh, this house is great, and the neighborhood's awesome. The neighborhood sucked. Not like dangerous or anything.
Yeah,
everybody was in a coven or something because everybody's lights were off by 6 p.m. and you never saw anybody.
Yeah, we were the only house on the block with porch lights on, with any lights on.
Other than the neighbor.
Yeah.
He lived across the street.
Yeah,
he was cool. He was from Mexico City. He was real cool. Like, that dude was cool. Everybody else sucked. Like, he came out and he was like taking pictures of his Christmas lights. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, well, you can celebrate Halloween over here and you can do whatever you want, because they had like a big old parade and they were dancing around the streets. But then I thought, oh, this is awesome. Then Christmas comes. I'm like, oh, man, what are you gonna do for Christmas? Nothing.
Yeah.
Don't do nothing for Christmas.
No.
Christmas is like, they're like, oh, that's a horrible holiday. That's about Christ. We don't like that. And they're like, that's how they acted. Like, because I was like telling people, what do I do for Christmas? I saw there was going to be what was it they had because it was the HOA was horrible. Get this, Justin. Like, the HOA was so bad, they sent out a paper saying, if you're going to have Christmas lights, you can only have blah, blah, blah. So I just threw it away. We're not going to have Christmas lights. I had too much going on.
Yeah.
And the guy that owned the house, he was trying to get me to buy it. So I was like, he was trying to get me to rent to own whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this. At first I was all like, yeah, this is a good deal. And then a lot of weird stuff started happening. And I was like, me and my wife were like, we heard like bam, bam, bam on the wall. Remember that?
How about the disembodied voice?
Oh, dude, there were so many things. I'm talking about the one that made us go, like, early on.
Yeah.
And she was like, we ain't buying this house. She's like, we're going to finish the lease. We're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, what do you think about the house? I was like, I think your house is messed up. He goes, oh, it's haunted, huh? So there's a lot of stuff needs to be done to the house. He's like, oh, a lot of repairs? I didn't know. I was like, not a lot of repairs. You need to cleanse this thing. There's a lot of, I was literally going to go, I went and bought holy water. I went to the place to get the St. Benedict. I got all that stuff, man. I said, man, I'm not playing. I'm going to cleanse this house. He made a joke. He goes, well, was one thing was wrong with it. He goes, I'm going to send somebody over there to fix that, because the haunted house, whatever. So then we went through hell trying to get that person to fix it. And 2 different people came and left and didn't say anything. They just left. I turned around, they're gone. Yeah. And he goes, oh, the haunted house doesn't want to be fixed, huh? I go, yeah, apparently not. Yeah. And then he got this weird guy to come. I'm even going to get into it and talk about it. I ended up suing people. I'm not even joking. I sued 2 people. I'm not even joking. This thing got real bad. Like, it was so bad. Like, when the goofy people lived there before, I'm not going to say their names out of respect, but they really conned us. And they said, "Oh, it's awesome." So we took it over so they could get out of their deal and leave, right? And we bought 4 pieces of furniture from them.
Mhm.
We move in, there's like all the furniture's there.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's my furniture supposed to go? If your furniture is like all over the house, where am I supposed to put my stuff? So we ended up like, we had some nice stuff. So we just put it in storage. I said, well, I mean, it's really nice. Some of it, like this armoire, it was like an antique. It was beautiful, beautiful cherry wood. I bet that thing was worth $3,000 probably. And they sold it all to us for the 4 pieces we bought real cheap. And then they left all this other stuff. And they even left some dishes and some other. And I was like, why did they leave all of this stuff? Well, I know why now. I mean, yeah.
Gotta leave quick. Forget it.
Yeah.
You can replace
it. Happened to me there, Dustin. I was in the shower. The second, no, it was the third day I was there. And I see this girl in the bathroom, like stumbling. It looks like she's stumbling something. I'm like, what the, and I yell. My wife goes, what's going on? And I was like, I look and I was like, I saw a woman like she was staggering or something. There were 2 other people standing there leaning and watching her. Like they were watching her. And then my wife says, you're not going to believe this, but in one of the cabinets, she found like some weird stuff. I'm not even going to say what it was. And she was like, this medical stuff. Yeah. And I was like, what the heck is that? Dude, it just got so weird, dude. Like, I mean, I remember one time I was working out and I had this, those shake weights. I know they look goofy. People like, shake weights, right? Yeah. So I was doing the shake weights. I had 2 of them and I do some push-ups. I was doing those triangle push-ups or whatever. And we had a pig. We had a pet pig and we still do. He lives out at the ranch. So he don't live at our main house. And he just starts squealing. Yeah, and like he just running in circles around the island where I was at. He was running around me. And I'm like, Truffles, what are you doing? His name is Truffles. I was Truffles, what are you doing? And he stops. And he's just like, he'll like talk to you. He's like he's trying to say something, and then the dog Beans she's barking. They're both like little babies, like little bitty. They're like young. And they're looking up at me and they're both making noise. She's barking and he's going, meh. And then they take off running. And then I look and I see what at first I thought was a person looking at me through the window. And I'm looking, I'm like, what is that? And then it looked like a person had a mask, I don't know how to describe it. Like, and then they just moved real quick. And so like, I'm in Texas, I'm armed in Texas, I take all out. I'm like, what the heck? And there's nobody there. And then I see something like in the back. And so I go to the back, I walk, to the back. This is bullshit. I don't know what this is. And I hear this laughing noise coming out of nowhere. And we heard that a couple times. Like we heard that noise. And we were outside a couple times and I heard it. And I was like, it sounded like a witch. And I'm not even joking, man. That place was so messed up, dude. Like 2 years. That was too much.
Shadow person.
The mini one? What about the big one? I would be in my study, Justin, and I'm over here getting stories from people. They're telling me all kinds of like what you're telling me. They're telling me wild stuff. Like, I'm sitting there listening. I'm going like, yeah, you saw the devil, right? Okay. The person like, and then there's something walks by. Like I would see it go like right in front of my study, and my animals would be all huddled in there with me.
Yeah.
That you're seeing the devil upside down on your ceiling is just so creepy.
Yeah, your brother saw some crazy. What did it look like? Somebody asked what it looked like.
He said that it was. I want to say he said it was thin. It was kind of gaunt looking, but it had like sort of a red, burnt skin. It had like flaming eyes, and it had 2 huge horns that came out of its head, like kind of pointing outward, and it had just very long claws, like very very long fingernails, and it was just sitting up there, all like crispy, looking. It sounds silly to describe it that way, but like kind of like really burnt flesh looking, sitting there with its legs folded Indian style on this upside down on the ceiling, just sort of hanging there. And watching him until they locked eyes. I have a visual of it in my head that I made from his original description, and it's honestly one of the creepiest things that ever crosses my mind, because I'm so glad I never went back in that bathroom.
You didn't make a movie of it, did you?
God, no.
Jeez, man! Like if you make a movie of that. Because
That would be a terrifying scene.
It would be an amazing visual, but I don't know if I want to relive that or live it for the first time. Personally, I don't know. It's creepy to even discuss truthfully because the image in my mind of it is like nightmare fuel, honestly. So that just, yeah.
Yeah, we had a guy that wrote those. He ghost writes those trashy romance novels in the south of France. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something funny, Dustin. And the crowd probably already heard this, man. But this is so we lived in this. It was it was a really nice place. I had a condo, and it was right there at the. Well, I probably shouldn't. Well, we don't live there no more, right? So it don't matter. But we were living in a really nice. I lived in a really nice place. Like it was, and I got in when it first they were like, this place is going to be ground zero for the nicest area of Austin. It's going to be awesome, and that's why we're charging more money and blah blah blah. So I had a friend. His name is Pete. Still a really good friend of mine to this day. Shout out to Pete. And Pete got me his ex-girlfriend was best friends with the girl that ran the place. So she hooked us up with a buddy deal. And we were paying like that extra $200 everybody was paying. I didn't pay that. I paid a decent price. It was a real cheap. And I thought it was stupid. I was like, there ain't nothing going to come of this. Remember I told you, Anthony, I said, ain't nobody they ain't going to buy this crap. Look where it's at. Like it's, it's in the edge of nowhere, like out in the northwest Austin. This used to be a horse ranch. I remember because I worked security when there was a house. I told the whole story about what was there before, right? And so I go there and I said, next thing you know, they're building this, they're building that. And then they built all these stores. It became this upscale hotspot. Neiman Marcus is there. Tiffany is there. And it's like across the street from me, dude. Yeah. And then it just got real happening. Like, and then there was this big computer company that bought it. They had a campus there. So everybody's rent was going through the roof. And mine, like almost, 16 years later, people asked me what I was paying. I was grandfathered in, right? So they were paying like $2,500 a month. I was paying like $1,600 or $1,400, something like that. They were like, "What?" So that's why I kept it. I was there for a long time, and I just stayed there. And so my wife comes, she comes to stay, and then we had some weird stuff happen at that place. But I think it was transient. It was like stuff it wasn't there all the time. It was like our neighbors would do stuff, and then we would get the residuals. And I remember thinking, because one of our neighbors told us that back in the old days when they were first when we first moved in over there, we were only the second people to live in that spot. And our neighbor said that there was a ghost or a demon or something that they saw in the hallway that looked red and black. And I remember thinking, that is so weird. So one of the times that we were there, we saw a few weird things in that place. Cats and dogs would just flip out and go crazy. Anthony saw some kind of, what was it, like a shadow?
Yeah, I thought that it was Martis. I thought it was our little black cat skittering across the ground. And then I go to open the door and realize that he's not even in the room, like because he had came into the room when I opened the door. So I was like, well, what was that little black shadow that I thought was my cat that went skittering across the ground?
And then you had the thing that tried to suffocate you.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had something that like tried to, get on the top of him. It was black,
it was like this amorphous black mass that was like suffocating me. And then I woke up like just desperately gasping for air because it was weird. It was like I thought it was a dream, but in the dream, I was in exactly where I was at. I wasn't in another place. I was right there laying on that couch in what was supposedly a dream. And then I wake up and I'm gasping for air, like in the exact same scenario in which that I was in the dream. So I don't perceive that as a dream. I think like something actually was on my chest and was attacking me.
Yeah.
We had a lot of weird stuff in that place.
And
I didn't think that it would be like as bad because, before that I lived in a place out of South Austin and it was 10 years of just crazy stuff. My brother's writing a book about it. Well, me and him both. And I didn't think it was that big a deal, but then when you start looking back on all the experiences we had there, it was just like we had neighbors that were just doing all kinds of weird stuff. You know, a guy got stabbed in our building. Yeah. These two guys, they were construction workers and they had rented an apartment there for 9 months. And about 2 weeks before they were supposed to leave, I guess they'd had enough of each other and having to live around each other. And they were doing construction at that place. You know, they would just walk to work. It was right there. They were constantly building. We were on the north end of it, and they built all the way like 6 football fields worth of stuff. And these guys ended up getting into it one night. They were drinking. They were our neighbors, and one of them stabbed the other one. Well, they stabbed each other, but the one of them stabbed the other one, and he ended up. And how long did that blood sit on the ceiling in the hallway? Like years, dude. I mean, that blood was up there. It turned brown. It looked like chocolate milk. Yeah. People would come over and they'd be like, "What is all that?" I'd be like, "Oh, it's chocolate milk." I would tell them that. It's chocolate milk for real.
These damn kids.
They'd be like, "How did that happen?" I go, "Oh, my neighbor's kids. You know, my neighbors did that." And it's man. Yeah, it was from that dude's artery. Yeah, it did that. Yeah. You know, I was like, "Holy crap, man!" Yeah, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And they just cleaned some of it and left the rest. They're just like, well, it's good. It'll work itself out.
It's good enough.
That's all they did. So let me ask you this. What is the most terrifying? Like, I know your movies are kind of campy with the second, you know, the second tier, third tier type movies, but what is to you though? What is the really one that stands out that's actually kind of scary, not just like funny scary, but like scary?
Oh gosh, of the stuff I've made?
Yeah.
Hard call. You know, probably one of the favorite ones that I've done, it's more of like a psychological thriller, is called Slaughter Daughter.
Slaughter
Daughter. Yeah, it's stars one of my actress friends that was in my first movie, Nicole. I've managed her ever since we did that first movie, and she was the title character. She played a character named Farah who has psychological issues, and she has a very atypical smother mother who just, you know, lords over her existence. And she's a former beauty queen, and she gets locked up in a mental institution for a while, and she gets released just in time to attend her mother's wedding to a really bad guy. And her psychological situation breaks down during that wedding scenario, and it's very throwback. It has a very giallo feel. It's very artsy, and it's gory, but nothing super exploitive or trashy. It just has a really nice artistic vibe. I'm really proud of that movie, and Nicole did a really good job, and I think it's a good thriller. So that's one of my personal favorites. My second favorite movie that I've done is definitely a more campy one called Ouija Mummy, which is pretty self-explanatory, but it's super campy and just silly, you know, about new homeowners that play with a Ouija board and release the spirit of an angry female pharaoh that possesses one of the partygoers and kills everyone.
So let me explain. If I could ask a question for you to explain it, how does a female mummy get to?
So it was in the script was actually there was an Egyptologist that had lived in the house originally, and she had discovered and pillaged a tomb of a female pharaoh. That I actually used a real pharaoh, for better or worse. Her name was Ahotep the First, and she discovered Ahotep's tomb, and she actually stole some of her riches from there. She took a necklace from there and brought it home with her. And that necklace had been part of a cache of like really precious gifts that had been given to her by her son in her life. So she brings that necklace home, and the spirit of the pharaoh pretty much persuades her to kill herself, and that necklace is left hidden in the house. And then a new newly married couple moves in, and he discovers it, and he gives it to his wife as a gift. And I used a little influence in real life because in the script, the wife had a Ouija board that was her aunt's Ouija board. And in the script, her aunt had used the Ouija board she was like a spiritualist who did seances and channeled spirits. And I believe it was my great aunt, maybe my great grandmother's sister, was a spiritualist who used Ouija boards and channeled spirits and let them enter her body and speak through her. And she did all kinds of crazy, creepy stuff like that. So I kind of based that off of her. So she has that Ouija board, and they break it out during a housewarming party and play it. And because of her wearing the Pharaoh's necklace, they channel her spirit, and she possesses her, and she turns into a very pissed off mummy that starts to kill everyone. Super campy though, definitely not scary. So
I want to watch it.
Yeah. Well, if you mess with mummies stuff, there's stuff that will happen. We've had people talk about it on the show, and we've had people give us encounters. One of the things that I pride myself on with PRT is we get stories from all over the world, and it's and not a ton. I'm not going to sit here and say we've had a bunch of them from. No, we've had like 2 or 3, maybe 3. I don't know, but maybe when it comes to mummy stuff, maybe 4 or 5 actually, probably. Yeah, but they weren't all Egyptian either. We had 2 that were Egyptian, and I'm not going to lie, nobody just called up and said, "Hey, I sought them out because I wanted to know."
Yeah.
And I have friends that actually do that. One of my friends, Morgana, is actually really. She's an Egyptologist. Well, she's not just an Egyptologist. Like she's into archaeology, period. But she's, yeah. And so there was some stuff that we got, and then I had a guy. Well, I had a few people that worked for us that were from, the Middle East, but the one that was Egyptian. Well, 2 that were Egyptian actually, but one was really. He gave us a really good story, and I don't think we've done that one yet. We haven't even covered it yet, but he was like really adamant that this stuff really does happen. It's cursed. You mess with something, and it does happen. I've never heard of Ahatep. I've heard of Hotep.
Yeah,
but I don't know who Ahatep is.
It was so long ago. I don't remember what dynasty she was part of or anything, but it was Ahatep the First. Yeah, and she was very close with her son, whose name was Amose, and he was the one who had gifted her all of these riches. That's where the necklace had come from. So, and we used it wasn't really Egyptian per se, but I had access to a really cool necklace that my uncle had made for my grandmother when she was alive. And it's funny because since then, someone has added the trivia to the IMDb page of the movie saying this necklace is not of Egyptian descent. It is a so-and-so Navajo squash something necklace. And so someone saw the movie and actually knew exactly what it was. But
they started like correcting you.
Oh yeah, they straight up like called it out and corrected exactly what it was on the IMDb trivia. So, which is cool because I didn't know. So
yeah, that's
certainly
funny.
wasn't
a Ouija mummy.
Ouija mummy, yeah.
And so, I must say, I have never heard of this. Corny joke. No, I've never heard of those. And I would think that would probably be under the Ptolemies because females weren't really in charge.
Yeah.
But under the Ptolemies, and now people don't understand this, but Cleopatra, who was actually part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, and that was the brother, Ptolemy was the brother of Alexander the Great, and he was gifted that area, that region, or whatever. He took that the fertile Crescent Valley, whatever, and his descendants ruled. And of course, they intermarried to keep control. Yeah. And it always cracks me up. People were like, "Well, Cleopatra was African. If she was African, she would have been Saharan African." But she wasn't Saharan African. She wasn't African. She was actually a Ptolemy, and they were Greek. They were Macedonian.
Yeah.
And they ruled that for a long time. And so they had some weird wacky people, you know. And then there was the reign of the kings of Amun-Ra, who they were totally different. They started a whole nother religion, and they cast down the gods of the old.
Yeah.
And they went through some weird incarnations. So people don't understand that. That's another thing, that the Egyptian dynasties were 4, 5, 6,000. It's just, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
Very long history, much like China.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of mummies in China too. And there's a lot of weird stuff there. I have a story I'm sitting on right now because of China, but I can't get in touch with the person. I think that something happened. I think they were arrested. Honestly, that's what I think, because I haven't. And you can get arrested overseas for just about anything. So, not the same as it is here, you know. And they don't just say, "Oh, you want your phone call?" They're not going to, and that person's not going to call me and be like, "Hey, I got arrested, man. I'm just going to tell you right now. Let me get this story out because this is my one phone call." So, if that was the case, they wouldn't be calling me. But yeah, they're in Western China, which people don't understand this either. Like China, they always when in the West we don't have this grasp. China is the most of the population lives in the east of China, and they live in these like 3 or 4 provinces, and then there's like this sparse. It's kind of like in the West. It's almost like it is here in Western China. It's kind of like Wyoming and Montana is very sparsely populated.
Yeah,
and that's where a lot of the weird artifacts and stuff are being pulled up and uncovered. Is that? And one of them is the Jianjing. You should look into that. That would be a really good idea for a movie. And I have an actual encounter from somebody, and probably could let you talk to him too. And he could tell you. It's funny, but he was working there as a subcontractor or military contractor. And he is Chinese, but he was in the military. He got out, and then he worked as a contractor in the West. And they found these artifacts, and it wasn't anything amazing, but I really think what they were trying to do was stamp out the Buddhists there. That's what I think they were doing. That's what he thinks they were doing. And they ended up being saved by these Buddhists, these monks, because these entities, I don't know what they were, but they showed up and started causing problems. And he thinks it was because of what they were doing. Looking back, though, if you look at the whole encounters, all the encounters together, you kind of realize, like, I think somebody in their government, I think they have a shadow government too. I think that they knew what was going on, and they knew that was going to happen, and they wanted that to happen, and they thought that they would destroy those monks there. But they didn't, you know. But anyway, that's a story for another day. And I hear your cat is going crazy back there.
Yeah, she's nuts. She's
so
Dustin, really bad.
Thank you for coming on, dude.
Yeah,
we had a great time, and you talked about a lot of stuff, and it was really good. We exchanged stories, and it's what we do here. I would invite you. I would like to have you do the podcast. So, you know, we actually have more listeners on the podcast. I mean, it's just audio, but we would like to record with you. That would definitely be, because, man, that story, there's several of them. We have some really good ones, but that one,
the description of the house,
dude, of the house, that entity hanging upside down.
That still haunts my nightmares 35 years later, honestly. The thought of that one, so.
Yeah,
your poor grandmother, man. Good grief.
Yeah,
I can imagine going through all that.
Yeah, she had a wild life. She had her own theory as to why she was in the situation that she was in. She had imagined a very elaborate kind of movie style situation where she had gotten revenge on someone that had done her and my grandpa wrong. And in her mind, she murdered him. And she disposed of the body. It was all a fantasy in her mind, but kind of to appease her anger at him, basically. And she murdered him in her mind and hid the body. And she said that night, after she had thought that whole thing out, she went to bed, and that was the first time she had ever been encountered by an evil spirit while she tried to sleep. So she felt that she had cursed herself somehow by opening her mind up to such an evil kind of act of revenge.
Yeah.
So,
and it's sad because, you know, she probably felt like she was really evil for thinking that.
Possibly.
And, you know, people have a way though of making people think evil thoughts, and like,
Oh
of
yeah.
course, you're not supposed to act on them, but you have, and I think maybe horror, and by extension, this stuff that I do here, I think a lot of it is just, for people that listen to it or watch it or are fascinated by it, it's an outlet.
Yeah.
It's an outlet, and it lets you, there was a guy on our show the other night. He was on the call-in show and on Monday. And the internet was acting up, and Monday was my birthday. I turned 50, right? And we had a guy on here. His name was James. And he was saying that he loved to watch horror movies, and it was like an outlet for him. in his anger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, as a kid, that was kind of my outlet for, working through stuff. Was I started writing, when I was 10 years old, I think was when I first started writing stories. At 10 years old, I wrote I called it my book at the time. It was 101 pages written out longhand on paper. So, and just been writing ever since. So, back then though, I was just putting real life people and family members in the stories. So, but
yeah, you put people you don't like in there, and they're like, you see them at Christmas, and they're like, oh, I saw your movie. Yeah, you could have used a different name. You're like, wow, that wasn't you.
Right.
It wasn't you. And they're like, well, yeah, because remember in the movie, I borrowed your car, and but then this time I was decapitated. What's going on with that? You're like, wow, it was just a coincidence. I just put your name in there.
Yeah, it's just the luck of the draw. It just happened that way. Like,
just walk off. Just walk away. You don't have to.
Yep.
When I was a kid, the names that I used were weird. One of the characters is Sam Joe Bell.
Sam Joe Bell.
Yes. I was little. I was like 7.
You're a kid. That doesn't. Whatever.
It was funny.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I did weird stuff. I used to draw like mice. You remember my grandmother was telling? My mom was telling you? My grandmother would always say that.
I'd find these little mice.
The little mice drawings all over the crossword puzzles. My grandmother was always complaining because back then when you went to the restroom, you didn't have phone to watch to keep you occupied. You just had the little crossword puzzle. My grandma had the crossword puzzle books, and so I draw all over them. And there was always mice fighting with swords. I don't know why I did that.
They're the 3 Mouseketeers.
I wasn't a Mickey Mouse fan. I don't know where I got it. I don't know where that came from, but it just was mice.
Evidently, Mickey Mouse didn't have swords.
Well, I remember this. My grandmother asked me about it, and I said there were some that were called river rats, and then there were these other ones called field mice, and they would fight each other.
Well, that's actually kind of cool.
That's all I remember. I don't remember the stories. I don't remember how they did it. I don't remember any of that. I just drew them, and they fought each other. Ones they came out of from somewhere around a river, and the rest were like on the land, and they would just basically fight each other. And some of them looked big, mean, and ugly, and the other ones looked kind of small and sleek and whatever. And I felt like, it's these little mice are trying to defend their land against these river raiders, And I remember telling my brother about it. He's like, that's stupid. That's a stupid thing. Only stupid people would do things like that. And so I beat him up. And that was the beginning of our feud. That was it. Now, so thank you for coming on, man. It was very interesting and it was enlightening, and there was a lot of information there to disseminate, folks. Think about it.
Thank you, Dustin.
We got to get Dustin on the podcast, and we could go further in and do a bunch of stuff, and so the pod people will, because the pod people aggravate me. I love them, but they aggravate me. They're like because they only get an hour a week. So what they do is they said, I don't know, I need more information, and I tell them it's on the YouTube channel, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what you just said, but I need more information. I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, we have a YouTube channel and we do 3 hours, like 3 times a week. And they're like, yeah, I don't know about all that, but I just can't, I need more. And then they literally will email the shit out of me and tell me, can you explain this? And I'm like, it's on YouTube. And they're like, that'll never work. Can you explain this? So I just took to calling them the pod people. And you can talk shit about them on here because they don't watch this. They don't.
Yes, V.
I don't talk shit about my list. I'm just saying, like, you could say whatever. They'd be like, I didn't know you said that, because they don't. They don't watch the YouTube. They do not watch YouTube. They act like a vampire has holy water thrown on them. When you tell them YouTube, they're like, hey. There was a couple of them at my conference. This is a true thing, Dustin. They melted right in front of us. Literally. When I said YouTube, I stood up and I said YouTube, and they just dissolved. Like
There were just
Like-
a pair of clothes there.
it was just clothes there. It was like when Vader steps on Obi-Wan Kenobi's cape. That's
Yeah.
it. It was
No,
I stepped on their clothes.
that
We
doesn't
videoed
count.
it too. We videoed my shoe, my black boot.
Ain't nobody got time for that. So.
Ain't nobody got time for your cloak.
Mm-mm.
So they just dissolved. That was it. And then they dropped the book that I was about to sign. And I was like, well, I guess I got my book back. Those are pod people. They do not know about YouTube. One was a good friend of mine too, and he lives up in Temple, or not Temple, Belton. And he's always like talking about my show and stuff. And then I'll tell him, "Oh, did you watch the live?" Because I know he doesn't. And I said, "Did you watch the live stream?" And he goes, I'm like, John, you don't ever watch it, dude. You never watch it. You haven't seen one of my live streams, not one. He could tell you every word for word the podcast. You go to the YouTube, he'll go jump in the water and swim across the river to get away from you and start talking about it. That's just how they are.
The
That's
river mouse.
Yeah.
the river rats will get them. The pod people is what I call them. But I love them. But they're a different breed, man. They don't like
yeah.
YouTube. They don't come to the
Yeah.
live stream.
Two
And
different
they act
worlds.
kind of uppity too. They're like, I don't do YouTube. Okay. I eat cheese and drink wine. Okay. I don't go to YouTube. Who does YouTube? Who are you? Who is this? Who is this tube of you? They don't do it. They just
YouTube.
don't.
So 2010.
Like, that was so 10, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was. And so they think they're better. They're like, I just listen to the podcast when I'm on my elliptical. I don't do this. Those YouTube people are fat and gross. They don't work out because they're very like that too. And I just say, okay, we got the pod people and we got the YouTube people, but the YouTube people are smart because they get the podcast episode once a week on YouTube along with all the other episodes.
Yeah.
They win. But can't convince the pod people. So we'll get you on there and let the pod people hear you.
Yeah.
They love to hang around in places like Apple and Spotify and all those other different types of Podbean and all that weird stuff.
Definitely.
So anyways, thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning in, folks. I'm going to check out with Dustin here. Stay tuned. I'll be on here for a few more minutes. But thank you for coming on, Dustin. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me. I had fun.
Yeah, and be careful with those scripts. We don't want you writing a bunch of stuff out of existence.
I definitely will.
The next movie he makes is we're all gone.
I'll make a kids movie next.
It's just like, that's it. We're done.
Why don't you write a script where we all strike it rich?
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
I'd watch.
Hey, you know what? I just
Love
had
that.
one.
Huh.
A guy who can write movies that come true, but only about negative stuff. He tries to do positive stuff and it don't work. It's like, nope. Because it turns out that he's got an evil genie demon that's making him have the whatever. But it's talking through a doll.
An evil Ken doll.
It's the doll that he took from the
I'll just go get the doll from the storage unit.
and the doll's like, did you miss me? Why did you put me in there, Dustin? The whole time he says it with vigor, like venom, like Dustin. All right? That's a name you could say that with too. You'd be like, Dustin. Yeah.
Poor Dustin's like,
Like, okay. All right, folks. Thank you, Dustin, for coming.
Absolutely. Thank
All
you
right.
for having me.
All right.
good night.
We'll see you. Nice guy. Good story. Good stuff here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like if I hang around with Dustin enough, then maybe I could become a great screenwriter. What do you think? Stephen King, here I come. I'm coming for you, Stephen.
That's how talent works. You just
It just
absorb
rubs
it by
off.
osmosis.
Yeah. Well, that's what some people thought back in the day. They'd be like, "Oh, you could fight. I'm going to hang out with you, and then I'm going to learn how to fight." And then the first bar fight happens, and they're like this. Did we win? Is it over? We showed those guys, didn't we? We took care of business. Yeah, it was close, man. It was close. I almost dropped my Sam Adams. Good thing you beat all them guys. I mean, we beat all them guys up together. Now I got a story to tell my grandkids. I still got some friends that do that too.
Good job, team.
I have some very few. But I have some friends that they can't fight at all. But they'll be like across the street when we had a bar fight, and they'll tell everybody they were right there too. Kung fu fighting. They write themselves into it. Yes, I was kung fu fighting. Yeah.
I'm definitely checking out some of Dustin's movies.
Yeah, me too, man. I can't wait. I'm going to go and start with the Lycanthromator. What was it called? That one. That one about the Lycanimator. That was the one I was thinking the other day about that movie. What's it called? The Reanimator. The Reanimator.
I just looked that up the other day.
I'm not going to sit here and say I was just thinking about it. If somebody was in a group and they were talking about it, and started talking about horror movies, and I get kind of lost. So in the group, they started talking about it. I just pretended. I was like, oh yeah, the Reanimator.
Yes, classic.
You're like looking up on your phone the classic from what year was that? Because I don't know. I really don't. I'm not good with.
That's the one movie from the thing with the guy. Yeah.
19.
And then after they say the key words, and you go, yeah, the gun, and he's like,
took the words right out of my mouth.
He dropped the gun and he used the sword. I know he used the sword.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. He chopped everybody with the sword.
You need to watch it.
Is it good?
I like it. I do.
Let's take a vote. How many of you in the audience has seen The Reanimator? Is it a good movie? Is Nelly lying about it being a good movie?
It's a good movie.
No response so far. I'm going to take the silence as it is not a good movie. They're over here having these weird conversations. What does Dick talk about? He's over here talking about Amy Krill. You call the chickens your children. Let Amy alone, Richards. Okay, Amy is a good donator. Amy, have you donated lately? If not, then don't worry about it. You can do whatever you want. Attack. All I care about is the money.
Dude, said it's not good.
That's what my enemies. They said he's in there making all this money. All he cares about is money. I'm like, dude. If all I cared about was money, I wouldn't be here tonight. Okay, let's put it that way. I lose money being here. Well, not tonight. We'd probably
be working on post.
Probably made enough. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. Not for all of us. To be
here.
Yeah,
Dog Soldiers is good.
Dog Soldiers was awesome. The werewolves. That's my idea for a werewolf movie. You could do it Dog Soldiers style. You would not have. Think about this. You would not have to make the whole costume, just the head. Right?
Yeah.
Spray tan the body, even though that's not really, we know that that's not really how they look. But for a movie, protection, rocket fun. Exactly. Thank you, Amy. Now, Richards, get off of her. Leave her alone.
I don't know why it's so
hard. Don't mess with her. Leave her chickens alone. Let her kids. Those are children. So, but it's not that hard, right? I mean, you just do the head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they had what was that they had the legs, or they were backward bent, right? Or no, I don't remember.
Dog Soldiers?
Yeah,
they were backward.
They were backward bent. Okay, so then you put some kind of shoes or something.
It's like stilts, like short stilts, yeah.
And then in the scenes where they have to do the grabbing and stuff, they don't have to be standing up because they're going to be falling down, trying to, I got some ideas, man. I got some ideas.
I mean, I don't believe that it's just so hard for these big production companies to make a good werewolf movie with a good werewolf costume. I mean, these people have access to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and every werewolf movie that comes out is just terrible, and the werewolves look stupid.
Yeah, and they can't even move their mouth.
Yeah, I mean, the last one that came out, I think it was just called Werewolves. I mean, the costumes in that one actually weren't bad. They weren't great, but it wasn't absolutely terrible. It was actually kind of good by comparison. The movie wasn't good, but the creatures were. The costumes. I thought they did a decent job on the costume, but even then, it was just you can still do a lot better than this. I don't know. I don't accept that. It's stupid.
Oh, sorry. You were talking so long, I've lost track of what were you saying?
Nothing important. Go ahead.
I just heard a bunch of noise, and it was very bad. I think I was dreaming.
It's okay. I'm used to it.
And the audience is like,
he does this to me all the time.
I'm supposed to, man. I'm supposed to listen to some millennial talking ad nauseum. So, yeah.
What?
Lucas, I just tuned back in. Wolf I think he's trying to say asleep. Yes, Lucas. As you've heard, probably a lot of bad noise that was coming from across the table was Anthony going blah 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 whatever he was babbling about. Back to what's important with me. This is except for the silver bullet with the werewolf. That was a good one too.
Oh yeah.
Silver bullet.
See, that's how long it's been since we've had a good werewolf movie. Silver Bullet and The Howling.
So think about it though. If Hollywood, I mean, or whoever is doing it, if they had a good enough budget, why do they will take a good budget? I've seen them do it, and they will make these werewolves look like big heavy dogs on all fours.
Yeah,
You're like, what is that? Why would you do that? Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a question and tell me what you think of this. And this may be just a reach or it may be, legit. But why would you make a werewolf movie that looks like that? Now, what if the powers that be have a vested interest in not letting us see a good werewolf movie because they don't want you to see what they really look like?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Because it might trigger a memory.
Trigger a memory, or you become tuned in with what they, because when we think about it, we're thinking about what the dog man looks like on two legs, right? But these other people, they have all these weird ideas about what it is, maybe like it's on four, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And they look weird, dude. But I'm willing to bet that they had to cut the budget because you have to pay the actors and then pay for the catering.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you've paid everybody, you don't have enough for the werewolf. I say we make a movie where the werewolf is the central part of it. Like that is actually what you're supposed to do.
Like
So,
that's the main character.
How about
let's make a movie and let's have everybody needs to donate $1 million.
Yes.
The movie will be made on a budget, on a shoestring budget. You will get your money back once it hits $1 billion in sales. I think this is a great pyramid scheme for us.
Yeah. We're gonna start a crowdfunding campaign.
Go fund me
with a goal of $500 million.
Can you imagine
if we can turn a profit of $1 billion?
They try to steal your money by making werewolf. They would talk just like
stop
that
action?
What some millionaire actually just like don't wire us a ton of money?
Then if they did, then we would actually make a real werewolf movie.
Yeah,
because that would be the budget. I'd be like, how much we got? Because I want to make a werewolf movie that everybody remembers forever. And you don't have to do a bunch, just do one. And then if that one hits, then make a vampire movie or vice versa, But make it based on real, legit, like what we know. You know what I mean? Can you imagine if we made a werewolf movie about what they probably kill us?
Definitely got to do one of the scenes from the tree killer.
The
tree trimmer. Remember the one with the dog man that kept trying to stuck his hand through the window and was trying to unlock the door, and he was down at the bottom. That was really scary,
dude. We could go into the actual files, real stories, and make the movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there. Hernandez Ranch.
Oh, you could do you could do a series based
when
on
that thing was flattened. Oh,
what could they do nowadays though with the CGI?
Anything and everything.
I mean, you can do a lot with the CGI.
Yeah, like the scenes where they're sprawled out like that,
Yeah,
like do it based on the real encounter. But I don't know how you would make it into a movie. I don't know how you'd make it into a movie. I mean, I guess you'd have to have a screenplay.
I mean, I think like
writing a
short
book, right?
films are the way to go with the like stories like this, because I mean, like they don't cost as much to make, and they get to the point quicker, and it's just like those independent short films, they get really popular. A lot of people like them.
Those would be fun to make, actually.
Be a lot of work, man. It would be so hard.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, if the payoff would be big, though. I mean, because you would have an epic film that people could look at and go, the people that made this film use real encounters as the base, and you could literally say based on a true story.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can't prove what these people are saying is true. I mean, you can't, but you could say, I believe it. But to them, they're telling you that it's true. I mean, you could say it's based on a true story. Right. You could do that, right?
Yeah.
Because Texas Chainsaw Massacre is loosely based on a true story. It's not true at all. In fact, we know where the houses are. We were there the other day.
Yeah.
It's like
Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Yes.
Tucker and Dale versus
That's one of
Evil.
my
That's a
favorite
classic.
movies.
Man. That's
yeah,
funny. Man.
that's a great movie.
These college kids.
Yeah.
College kids. The guy from what's his name?
A Firefly.
Firefly. That dude, yeah, he was
Alan
also in
Tudyk.
Resident Alien.
Yeah, I love that movie. Sure.
He's funny in that movie, man. Pizza. I want pizza. The way he talks.
Yeah.
That's a good series, man. Resident Alien. It's funny, man. He's always mad at that kid. That's a good series, and then Firefly was awesome too.
Oh, I love it.
I'm not even a big science fiction guy. You know, I like Star Wars, and I don't really. There's not a whole lot, you know. But that would be an awesome. Do like a Tucker and Dale. I don't know what's going on, man. These college kids just. These college kids.
A day, officer.
All right,
You're
man.
gonna have a doozy of a day.
I've had a Tuesday of the day, officer. College kids just keep killing themselves. Oh, shoot. And it was all by accident. Too.
Yeah.
It's so funny. That would be a great movie. That would be my thing, though. Like, if you want to make a movie, it'd be like, I'd have to put some. I wouldn't like make it slappy comedy, you know, like slapsticky, or
Yeah.
I wouldn't make it like to where it's just a comedy. I would just put the comedy in it.
Yeah.
I think the way Marvel and DC do with their movies, where they put the comedy in there, you know, but it's not the main focus.
Yeah, that formula is really popular.
That's real life, because comedy in TV and movies always bothered me, and I'll tell you why. Because sitcoms aggravate the shit out of me, because it's like everything you say is like some zinger one-liner. You're like, okay, yeah, Charlie Sheen, sure, yeah, you're just that's what you do all day. You just make one-liner jokes like all day. There's no real. It's just.
I feel attacked.
What?
That's the sitcom. The one I wrote a long time ago. Remember? It was full of one-liners.
Man, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, we don't do that.
Make dark humor British style, Under Fire says.
Yeah, I just don't believe that people don't really talk like that. You know, they're just not like everything they're saying back and forth is these zingy one-liners.
Yeah.
Like me and my guys were like wisecracking, wise guys. You know, you talked a lot of shit and you cracked on each other. Because Gen X, if you're not a Gen Xer, let me explain. We like the way we communicated was by talking shit to each other. Like, really, it was like we tried to see how bad we could hurt each other's feelings, man. I'm not even joking. And you know what it was? We're a bunch of latchkey kids, right?
Yeah.
So you have this generation now, no offense, but the millennials, and then now we have the Zoomers or whatever the shit they're called, the little shits. And they're like their feelings are hurt and all this other shit. And I'm like, what? I said, dude, I raised myself, dude. And so did most of my friends, because our parents were greedy and they were out chasing dollars, man. And so you had this generation above us that were like, I didn't give a shit. So you ate grilled cheese and macaroni and whatever you could make on the stove and in the oven or the microwave. And that's what you ate, man. And we didn't go, oh, this has trans fats. This has this or that. It was just like, is this flammable? Like, nobody gave a shit, man. Nobody gave a shit. And your friends didn't care. Like, you couldn't go to your friends and be like, my parents left me alone. And they'd be like, mine did too. This is Lord of the Flies, homie. You seen any parents around? We haven't seen our parents in 2 days. And then it was like a contest. It was like, you know, well, my parents left me for a week. And my parents they never even came back. I don't even have parents. I was born out of the earth. And
It's the contest is who's the most neglected.
yeah, who is the most neglected of the Generation X?
My mom's an alligator.
I was raised by wolves. Yeah, and so you had these like cliques, you know, and everybody that was like, who's the toughest clique, right? Even in high school. I mean, you weren't real. I didn't, like gangs. People that were in gangs, they were in the inner city when I was in Austin, but everybody was in some kind of clique, right? You were like, my clique is tougher than your clique. Right? There was just, and we were horrible. We were horrible. There was no sympathy at all. If you felt bad, what you have now with these young people, they always want to be little kids. They're like, I'm only 25. I'm only 19. I'm a child. Anthony literally went out with a girl who used to call herself the baby.
No.
She did. I'm not even joking, man. She's not a bad person. I like her, but
no. I mean, like she was using it in the context of like she's a baby of the family, she's the youngest, but she's still like that's just not a good like mentality to put on yourself, you know.
Now it's like, I'm only 30.
Yeah.
You're like an old man. You're like in your 40s. I'm only 30, man. I'm just a kid. When I was young, it was not, you did not talk about, oh, I'm young, I'm a kid. You didn't say that, you know, and you didn't go around saying that you were a baby. Being called a baby by my generation was a big insult. I'm not even joking. They'd be like, you're an effing baby. Like, and they said it with like this venom, like baby, you know? And so, you know, that was the thing. If you complained or cried or whatever, they were just going to call you a sissy or a baby or whatever. And you couldn't, you know, now this generation no, they're completely okay with just being like, I'm only 25. And you're like, you know how many times we've dealt with people on our jobs and they'll be like, I'm only this old or that old. And it's funny because Marty, you know, he's my business partner. And when I talk to Marty about it, I tell him, I was like, you know, this and this happened on the site, right? And he's a boomer and I'm Generation X. And I'll tell him, I'll be like, they started talking about they were just a child, you know? And he was like, what? Like, it's so weird. Like me and him, neither one of us can understand it. And he's just like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, they were like, I'm only 22 years old. I'm practically a kid. This guy was trying to sell us on that. And I'm like, I don't give a crap. You're trespassing and you wouldn't leave and you did something wrong. So, you know, and what it was is at one of our apartment complexes, he pulled a fire alarm. Yeah. Which is illegal. And we stone cold busted him. And, you know, and we're not like rent-a-cops, like, hey, guy, you're going to jail, pushing up the Poindexter glasses. I'm a nerd and I got picked on in school. Now I'm going to get you. I'm not that guy, man. And I just said, you're not going anywhere. The cops are, the fire marshal came. Everybody was mad. And he's literally arguing with these fire department people, like trying to say he's just a kid. I'm only 22. And this female firefighter was like, you're almost 23. And like, you know, he went to jail and we're standing there and I'm talking to the cops and the EMS showed up too. They always do. Everybody shows up, right? So everybody's there and we're talking and these first responders know me and they know me. They call me Wolf. And they were just like, Wolf, what is going on with these kids? And I was like, do you believe this guy? He's 23 years old, or almost 23. And he's trying to convince his way to us. And then he wanted his phone back. The police had his phone. I had his phone and the police had it. And he wanted his phone back because he wanted to call his mom. So let's put it this way. My generation, it has some responsibility in that because my generation raised these little shits to be like, I'm only 23, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My peers did this shit.
You know what did it is that I just want to give my kids everything I didn't have.
Yeah.
Just take it overboard and spoil them.
I was always alone and I ate Hot Pockets, you know, and I ate them cold straight out.
Yeah.
I had to beat them with a mallet and my dog had to chew on it for a while to warm it up for me. Then I beat him up and took it and ate it, you know, in the corner, you know, and so that's the mentality, right? So then you don't want your children to be jacked up little turds, right? So, you know, you go and but that's not correct. Then the next generation is a bunch of B words, you know, and you're just like these little
the B word that's for babies.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just like in like we get noise complaints on people. You move into a busy complex down by the UT campus. We have a few down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get a call and they'll be like, I'm hearing a lot of noise and I'm studying. Where are you living? And then they tell me and I'm like, It's called a neighbor. Have you heard of it? You may have heard of it. Well, let me tell you something. I pay a lot of money to live here. And I'm like, oh, do you? Because this is what I don't say this, but this is what I want to say right here. I have done the neighbor thing. I've told them that. But I've never said this to one of them, but I would love to. So the phone call should go like this. Yes, I am complaining. I am literally a prisoner in my own apartment. I'm hearing a lot of banging, walking and talking. It's coming from around me in the ether. And here's me on the other side. Yeah, that's called a neighbor, kid. Okay. you like to be called a kid, right? Because you're in your 20s, right? You're a child, right? Yes, that's correct. I am a child. I'm only 26. I'm going for my MBA. Okay, yeah, your MBA. Okay, so let me tell you something. You're going to be broke as hell when you get done with that, and you will be in debt for approximately the rest of your life. So let me say this. You being a child and you're having to be subjected to this horrible noise, who's paying for your apartment? That would be me. Okay, now do it without lying. My mom and dad. Oh, exactly. Your mom and dad are paying for your way. Yes. And you're going to pay them back. No. But you'll be living with them. Yes. Okay, goodbye. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a Gen X, this is how you deal with it. You're like, these motherfuckers. And you walk. Doo, 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 doo. You could even do the sound effects from the Warner Brothers cartoons. Doo, 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 doo. They open the door. Trouble. Look, if you don't stop this bad noise, you see this straw? I'm going to shove it up your nose and then until it pierces your brain and then your eyeballs are going to come out. You understand that? Has that ever happened to you? No, it will. It absolutely will. And it's going to be like a match when I strike. Okay? So stop making noise. They're like, then they go and they call. They're like, some guy from another generation just came. He took me with a Tesla. That's when I go, that would have been me. I'm the guy. I live below you. I'm the boogeyman. Right? Some people say I'm a reptilian, a vampire. Some people say I'm a werewolf. Some people think I'm Bigfoot. Either way, stop making noise. Good night. That's how it should go down. That's a good idea for a movie. You just have a really pissed off Gen Xer.
You got the movie bug.
There's this, yeah, I want to make a movie now, right? Because you talk to somebody that does it, and you're like, I want to do that. I'll find something new tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be like, I want to make hats. I figured it out. We're gonna make hats. All I need is $1 million. I could do anything. Why don't you folks give me money? Where's the money? Where's the money? I need it. I need my money. It's another thing Gen Xers do. We don't file lawsuit. We just beat you up. We'll come to your house. The Gen Xers want to deal with everything like that. My friends from the Gen X, that like my dad's generation, they're like, whoa, you need to get a lawyer. Our generation is just like, nah, I beat his ass in the parking lot. I took his rims.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Cheaper than a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Then the younger generations are like, I had to find my safe space and I called my therapist. Goldstein told me to hide. Yeah, I bet he did. You go cry. Right? He said, call the police on you. That's what happens, right? That's how it goes, right? Because you try to follow the legal chain. These people don't listen.
No.
They don't give a shit. They're not going to do it. Look at what Generation X does. They don't listen. They don't give a shit. What's their psychopaths? I'm not saying we're all good. There's people in Generation X, I hate them, dude. I cannot stand them, dude. If I see them, I'll give them purple nurples and titty twisters all day. I will Indian burn their arm until their ass bleeds. I don't care. But there are some Generation X people that are so bad. They're so horrible. I'm not going to lie. I can see why millennials and the Zoomers will cry. Because they'll make a Generation Xer cry. Because that's what you do. Because that's what we handle things, man. We handle them in the streets. And we didn't have to come back blasting. Everybody like, I'm going to come back blasting. That shit started with your generation, man. A bunch of pussies, dude. There were a few people like in Compton, you know, they were raising hell, shooting people, burning shit. I'm talking about like the average person was not automatically obsessed with an automatic weapon. Like, oh, it's like, oh, this guy insulted me. You're talking about my shoes. You said they're not white enough. I'm going to blast you, fool. You know, like that. You start throwing hands, dude. That's what everybody do. Oh, you want to fight? And that's what a fight was. Now it's like, you want to fight? They go and they grab a gun. Come on, let's fight. And they don't even shoot correctly. They just emptied the magazine in the general direction, and everybody but the target gets hit. And then Obama comes out, and he's like, oh, let me tell you something. I'm tired of orchestrating all these gun battles. Y'all need to stop this shit, you know? Just stop it. Just give me your guns. Give us your guns so you can be like Britain and Australia and all the other cuckolded countries. You need to stop this. You right-wing pieces of shit. Just stop. Me and Michael have had enough of this. Stop it. Michael comes out, yeah, but Sep, because why come y'all be trying to shoot each other, man? And he's like, Michael, I mean, y'all need to stop all this bullshit. Don't be doing this stuff. It's so wrong. Y'all evil. And then she walks off. He's like, oh, yes, that's my Michelle. There it is, right there. I need to stop doing all this stuff. Generation X is out of control. All right? I show up here at the podium. I thought this was the free crack giveaway, and I got to talk to y'all about guns. It's horrible. Tired of it. Can't do it no more. Quit it. Stop it. All right? Now I'm going to go to my Islamic fundamentalist rally. I'll see you. They're like, Mr. Obama, you must stop being gay. Why do you continue with the homo gay? Look, I got a dual life here, okay? I got Michael and I got the fake kids and everything, and I'm working. I'm working you guys into. You're doing good up in Dearborn. We need some more cities like that. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. I'm just trying. I'm working an angle here. Let me do it. The crack and the gay stuff. We're pretending. We're having fun, right? Ha ha ha.
Now look, you just focus on your job, and I'll focus on mine.
I was gonna say, you do your job, I'll do mine. You go boom, and I'll go blow. Okay, boom and blow. That's how we do it.
We need you to take over the major cities of my fellow Americans.
He's like, you burn it, I smoke it.
Someone's got to be here to open the floodgates to the third world, and that would be you, Mohammed.
You seen those pictures of Michelle when she was still Michael? Whew, man. It's deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Castro San Francisco deep. That's where she's from. She you could tell it was like a straight up like thug dude too. Michael was probably like, a straight up Crip or a Blood or something. Like for real. Like, and then these dudes, these old school tripping, like rolling 60, like that fool went and became the vice president and a woman. The old school lokes are like, what the heck? I went to high school with that fool, man. That fool, look at that. That's the vice president. Because they don't understand, like, the president, that's not the president, that's the vice president, because that's the wife, right? Because who was the vice president? Oh, yeah, that's right, Sleepy Joe. He wasn't even, what was he doing? He wasn't doing anything. Michael was the vice president, you know that. Even the gangbangers know that. Anyways, folks, yeah, exactly, Amy said, we're living in a comedy skit. That's right. Bathhouse Barry smokes crack and... All right, guys. All right, thank you for tuning in. We had a great time. It's a Saturday. Go out and have some fun. It's like 11 o'clock here, right? Still enough time to go out and grab a Bible and start reading it. How about that? Yeah, you thought I was going to tell you to have a drink when you dirty-minded people. I'll be doing that. Crappy-ass people. Y'all get out of here. All right, man. So I had an idea. Now we got like just the hardcore people in here. I had an idea for a history channel. How about this? And I'm going to try it out on you guys. Y'all are the beta test for this. I'm going to come out and be like, all right, look, y'all some stupid motherfuckers. I'm going to teach you about history. And you're dumb as shit. And you didn't learn anything in school. So shut your freaking mouth, open your mind, and let me teach you how history really happened. And then I start teaching it. Right? I'd be like, okay, so this guy, Montezuma, he really thought that the Spaniards were going to be some hoes and come up here and just take his shit, right? And then he just started telling it, right? Because he thought that this was Quetzalcoatl. And then you just tell him, right? And just make people laugh.
Yeah.
I think it would catch on with the Gen Xers. I think that the younger people would be like, he didn't say it alive. Then they'd go and they tattle on you. And then the boomers that pretend to be pious would be all against you.
Yeah.
That's how it would work out. Generation X would get it.
History is interesting once you start presenting it in the form of like what it actually is, which is stories, not dates and chronological events that you have to memorize.
Well, they do that to make it not
Yeah.
fun, not good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did it correctly, you could teach people some shit and they'd like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just thought, you come out and just crack some jokes and, tell the truth, about it and tell the truth, but like, and not just be like, look, you're going to get insulted. I'm just going to sprinkle insults along with the truth. You're going to get history truth sprinkled with insults. And it's not for everybody. It's just the stupid people. who didn't know what the hell I was talking about, even on a base level. That's the thing. If you had the basic idea, you know, like you probably won't get insulted.
Mhm.
If you're that stupid, like you don't know, like how many people know who, like, what president was Abraham Lincoln? What number?
16.
Exactly. I was going to say, if you don't know the 16th president, so many people think he's the 5th president. I don't know where that came from, but we'll figure it out. And I'm going to expose the idiots that believe stupid shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like your ass is your feelings are going to get hurt, you know, because you're stupid. They're stupid people. Stupidity should be painful, really. Every time you say something dumb as shit, you should have somebody just clock you in the jaw and knock. My generation called it knocking some sense into you. We knock the shit out of you, knock the sense into you.
At the very least, if it costs you money, you know, people would be incentivized to not be stupid real fast.
Yeah, real fast. Because that's how because if you watch Idiocracy, they're like, I like money. Go away, Burton. Like everything is like base sexuality and just, you know, money. And then they're in court and they're all like, this guy, man, he dumb as shit, yo. He's stupid, talking like fag. You know? It's like, dude, that's how it's going to be pretty soon.
Yeah.
Because what made me that's
going to be the judge talking.
That's the judge, right? Right? Yeah, it's a judge. So it's like, get out of my court, bitch ass motherfucker. You know, like that's when they're going to talk like that, like vulgar, just crass. You know what did it for me? I told you this, Nelly. The tipping point was when I was on the leg sled. Oh man, I got legs coming up. And I was pushing the weight. And I look up, and I'm, you know, you're holding those handles, right?
Oh yeah. Right.
And you're looking up, and I see the words "big ass fan." I'm like, what the freaking heck? Am I tripping? Because I don't smoke crack before I go to the gym. I quit doing that a long time ago, like 3 months ago. And I'm looking up, and I'm like, that's in the past. That's in the past, right? You're looking up, and you're like, big ass fan. Remember that, Anthony?
Yeah.
I ran and I got Anthony and Tony. I said, hey, come here, look at that. Look at it. Anthony goes, yeah, I know. And I'm like, y'all's generation, y'all used to this stupid shit. So I'm like, no, look, for real. And Tony's like, yeah. Yeah, you just noticed that? I said, but I don't look up at the fan. Like, I don't read it. I didn't read it. I wouldn't. On that day, I did. I finally did. And then everybody, even Scorpion, dumbass, who can't lift his head up correctly, he was like, you just noticed that? I'm like, I don't look at the fans, dude. I'm like, I work out. I'm not just laying on the ground looking up. Like, you know.
Oh, yeah, we saw it.
Yeah, like he was probably laying on the ground, like fell over, couldn't get up, and people thought he was doing the bicycle. It was really just him not being able to get up. So for me though, like when I work out, I go to the gym to lift. Some people go to the gym to look at butts, right?
Some like the mirrors.
Yeah. Like some people go to the gym for different reasons. They go to the gym to video themselves. I go to the gym to actually lift some freaking weights. You know, you don't get like these guns by you know, like this microphone's in the way here. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, my God. I crack your skull with those guns, dude. You don't even know. Oh, boy. We were raised watching guys go, oh, would you do this to you? And they're all oiled up and look like somebody sick, weird, twisted, you know, Nephilim descended person roaming around the woods eating raccoons and then using them as a shawl. That's what we watched people like this. We had a big blonde-haired guy that was like 7 foot tall going, whoa, the Hulkamania. You know, that's who that was our spokespeople. Right? That's who we looked up to, man. I mean, you know.
Road Warriors.
The Road Warriors, dude. Yeah, freaking pussy. I'm a beat you. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to beat you and your mom. You know, that was the kind of shit we did at gym. If they did that now, they would be calling that hotline, these guys dressed up, they had paint on their faces, and they're not even native. I don't know. So, who are these guys? They're cisgendered white males. Get them out of my living room. Yeah, I had a black dude the other day. This is how bad it is, right? This guy's a big old brother, good friend of mine, works out with me. We call him D-Wave. That's his nickname, right? He used to be a DJ a long time ago. But he was the kind of DJ that's like, whoop your ass. If you come up and ask too many times to play something stupid, like he ain't playing Depeche Mode, right? Just put it that way. He one of those hip-hop DJs. You know, don't be coming up here asking. So D-Wave, me and him were talking, and he's a big guy. You know, he's short guy, but he's real big. And we were talking. He goes, you know what gets me, man? He goes, these little goofy-ass kids, they think that the black dudes are going to be nice to them. When they go up to Like, oh, just go ask a friendly black dude, man, and they're gonna help you, right? He goes, I got cousins and shit from the hood. They'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna help you. What's up? Where your car at? And then their car, they'll pick their car up and move it for them. Like, and then they'll be like, oh, you know what? We took your rims and everything, man. Give me the keys. I need to go get some more stuff out of there. And they're so stupid. He goes, they'll give them the keys. They'll go, okay, go ahead. And then we'll steal everything. He goes, and then they'll slap them and they'll be like, I deserve that. That's him. D-Wade said that.
Yeah.
And you're laughing. You're sitting there going like, this is horrible, but this is how stupid they are. Like if somebody like me raises their voice, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to go find a black guy to help me. This guy's raising his voice. Hey, there's one. Hey, help me, sir. This white male's being mean and rude. And the guy's going to come up and be like, look at me, look at him, be like, if I beat him up, you're going to say something? Like, go ahead, dude, beat him up. That's good. You stupid ass and you little punk ass. And then give me a wallet. Give me beat your ass.
And then once he riles him, he throws you like a little bit.
Yeah, you give him then we go.
From Bird Dog.
Right? We cut it up. He says, look, you did a good job. Thank you, man. And we taught another dumbass millennial lesson. And they give you, that's how I got this. I got to get mine. I was trying to tell you how to parallel park and you got scared. And you yelled at the nearest black dude to come help you and he robbed you. And then he gave me some of the proceeds. Right? That's how it works. And you didn't know he was a Gen
Who? What?
You didn't know he was a Gen Xer. That's what Gen Xer, that you didn't realize that's how we roll, bro. That's how we are. And we would beat each other up and then the next day we'd still be friends. And people don't understand that. And if you say something racial to somebody, that's a joke. These motherfuckers don't know what that now. It's like, oh my gosh, he said a bad thing. Oh my gosh, that guy's a Latino. He's going to hurt you. Why did you say that? That's what I'm telling you. That's how they think. They're stupid as hell, dude. They're like, I had this one girl. I'm not even going to say where it was at, but she's like, oh my gosh, those Latino men, they're not scared of nothing. She's like all like, ugh. She's all like enamored by it. Mm-hmm. Right. And then her friend was like, she's like, if it scared a black dude, it must have been really scary. And I'm like, y'all are dumb as shit, man. I'm sitting there looking at these people like, literally, y'all generation is the most racial generation I've ever seen, ever. They're racially divided as hell, but then they think that they're progressive and shit.
Yeah.
They literally dialed you back to the 1950s, you dumbass.
It's dumb. It's just stupid to romanticize any one group of people.
It's crazy, man. They do that with everybody, with Native Americans, with blacks.
Human beings. These are sinful human beings, the same as anyone else. Like ain't nothing special about someone because they're a white or black or Asian or Native American, especially. Like,
but it's the most racist thing you can do.
These are just human beings.
Yeah, they're just people. Like
not gods.
They're the ones that want to say people are people, right? But then they're the most racial people you could possibly imagine because they see it. They're always like, what's weird about my generation is a lot of us really, we grew up so close together. You didn't really see the skin color. You didn't have that. You didn't have all that shit. You had a few treated me bad, but you didn't see it like that. But this younger generation, they're like hyper aware of it. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Did I offend you? Like everyone is offended. And they tiptoe around shit like that. It's crazy, man. And you're like, I said, y'all have literally become the most racially charged, most racially divided generation. Can't talk about nothing, man. And you know how white guys get theirs? They're like, oh, I'm gay. That's how they get there. And then they say that. Oh, okay, now you're a special privileged group. Before you were just a regular guy.
Yeah.
That's some dumb shit, man. Like, nobody said anything back when I was growing up in the 90s. Nobody gave a shit. Y'all just took everything. There were a few things,
you just but identify yourself as
they took everything and messed it up.
Some kind of marginalized somehow, some form, then you're elevated like a rung up on society.
Yeah.
Pecking order.
It's stupid. All being played, man. All being played.
Just elevate the weak so they can drag down the strong. That's all it is. It's backwards Kali Yuga crap.
Yep. And Maggie says, white savior complex is very condescending. Yeah, because they're going to teach you.
It's 11-11.
They're going to help you. 11-11. See, and there's 11-11 shows you were on the right page because Nelly saw it.
Barely made it.
Let me see. Oh, it's 11-12 now. Dang it. I saw 11-10 and 11-12. I missed 11-11. But you told me, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so Yeah, exactly. It's more racist than saying something racist. Like for me, I did comedy 2 times. I've done stand-up comedy both times. Guess where it was at? Black Club. And both times they were rolling, dude. I say they as in the black people were rolling, dude. Like, who is they? You're trying to be, no, I'm telling you the truth. I don't care. Go cry. Go tattle on me. I don't give a shit. I don't give a crap. But the bottom line is they were laughing, dude. There was like 2 people in there that weren't laughing. And one of them was, I don't know if he was white or Hispanic. He was just jealous and hating because I'm the beautiful one. And the other dude was some other black dude who was also a comic that didn't get any props. So when I was done, this one dude, he's a brother. He comes up to me. I call him brothers because, you know, he bought me a shot. He's like, man, you killed it, bro. You funny as hell. And I did a shot with this dude. And then I said, that was the other, your buddy over there. He looked like he's mad. He goes, oh, he's always mad because his comedy sucks. And then a bunch of dudes started laughing. He comes up and he's like, he's being a hater, as we call it in my generation. He's mad, right? He's not gonna think I'm funny no matter what I do because he hates me. Right? There's people that don't, no matter what you do, they're hating. There's people watching right now that are hating my guts. And they're going to, I've got him now. I'm going to go and turn him into the PC police. He's going to PC jail. You know, and they really think that. They think that they got you. They got you. You ain't got shit. Right? Oh, he only had 330 people in his chat tonight. He's going down. This is a Saturday, bro. All right? Calm down. All right. I know what you can do, though. I'll give you some advice. You can go. I'm not even going to say. I was going to say something really mean. I'm not going to say. I'm going to let you off the hook tonight because it's Saturday.
You can go to the gym and lift weights and stop being
Go to the gym and lift weights and go read your Bible. Stop hating.
Look better, feel better, be better.
Stop hating. All right, guys. I feel the love here, man. I'm out. All right. This is where you get the hardcore nougat of the candy bar. That's all that's left, 261, right? You can say whatever. I can say this. We signed up for the Yum Yum box. Do you know what that is? Does anybody know what that is? It sounds goofy as hell, but it's called the Yum Yum box, and it has these snacks from around the world. I promise you, you will not taste better snacks. They're not paying me for this, you know, but try it. The salt snacks are not half as salty as the ones you have here. The sugary snacks are not half as sweet as the ones you have here, and they taste awesome. It's from a company called Universal Yums. Yeah, somebody just said it. Valerie just said it. Universal Yums. It's really good. It's very good. So check it out. I love culture. I love different cultures all around the world, whatever. Now, just because I love culture don't mean I want their vibrancy up my ass everywhere I go. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like Britain and shit or like France.
Yeah.
You know, people be like, well, you support the Arabs, you support the Jews, you support. I don't give a shit. I like different cultures. And I like learning from these different cultures. That doesn't mean that I want to pick a side or get blown up or whatever the fuck they're doing.
Support them having their own country that's not here.
Exactly. If we would quit bombing the shit out of these other countries, and not to sound like a libtard, but you wouldn't have them over here.
Yeah.
Their countries would be a little better, right? Stop doing it. But I could say this, man. I can say this with all certainty. Everybody's culture deserves to be looked at and said, hey, check it out, man. Instead of like hating everybody and burning everybody because they're pissed off, you know. But there is some awesome stuff out there. These other countries, and I'm talking, when I say other countries, I mean almost every country but the United States. They have a candy bar. It's got like 4 or 5 ingredients. We have a candy bar that when you read the back of it, it sounds like the shampoo bottle.
Yeah.
And why does the shampoo bottle have so many damn ingredients? Think about that. I'm out of here, guys. We love you. Tomorrow night's Sunday. It's going to be great because we have a great show planned for tomorrow night. We'll see you. Good night.